during a service delivery in Mbizo hosted by the Gauteng Premier, Panyaza Lesufi. Many residents have been without electricity for between 5 and 10 years due to infrastructure collapse, vandalism and electricity theft. Eskom's Simon Zibi says the re-electrification project could be completed by November, provided the community supports the initiative and security measures are strengthened to protect infrastructure.
The problems of the communities are twofold. The communities allowed for thugs to steal the infrastructure. The second one, Eskom became negligent in not operating and maintaining. Now we need to fix both sides.
And finally, Iran has condemned what it describes as US and Saudi airstrikes in Iraq, saying the attacks are an attempt to widen the conflict in the Middle East. The condemnation follows claims by the Iran-aligned Popular Mobilization Forces in Iraq that at least 20 of its members were killed in overnight strikes. The group says the attacks targeted its positions in Iraq. Tensions in the region remain high as concerns grow over the risk of further escalation. The BBC's Sally Nabil says Iraqis are fearful of another conflict.
Other components of the Iraqi society are getting worried that their country is being dragged into a war they don't need. We have an initial reaction from the Iraqi influential Shia cleric Muqtada Sadr, who is not aligned with Iran. He reacted to those strikes saying that these militias are dragging Iraq into a war that is unnecessary, and he called upon the Iraqi government to practice law and order and restrain these militias.
Recapping the top story, the Matlanga Commission has heard text messages suggesting the former head of IDAC, Advocate Andrea Johnson, and suspended Deputy Crime Intelligence Head Feroz Khan shared a closer relationship than she previously disclosed. For SAfm News, I am Anne Musa.
It's a very good morning to you. In your SAfm Sports headlines, we head to the Commonwealth Games, where Chad Leclerc becomes the Commonwealth Games' most decorated athlete as Team South Africa Women, they end a sensational campaign in Glasgow. And we also get to rugby, where the Springbok coach, Rassie Erasmus, says the door is wide open and giving Ambrose Paper, Evan Rose and other fringe players a golden opportunity. We'll find out more at around 6:30.
SAfm, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Very good morning. We've checked in with the Department of Transport in the Eastern Cape. They tell us all higher ground passes are open. That includes the Barclay Pass. It was closed yesterday due to heavy snow. It did reopen yesterday, but we'd probably caution against some early morning travel along particularly the Barclay Pass. You could just run into some slippery conditions with the cooler temperatures out that way. Snow overnight last night reported around the Underberg area. Underberg to Kokstad along the 617. That route is open. No major problems along that 617 or generally in that sort of Underberg or Kokstad area. Routes are open and flowing normally. Durban moving up through Spaghetti Junction towards King Shaka looks okay at this stage. Pretoria, the N1 South, some overnight roadwork still in place between Pumalani Plaza and Sefaka Makato exit into Montana. So that section of the N1 South is slow coming through there. Cape Town highways looking generally okay. There is some delay again this morning on Van Riebeeck Road. If you come up from Easter Rafia to Kales River, just expect some delays in the Blackheath area. Van Riebeeck Road at Station Street has a little bit of an obstruction, a blockage, which has been causing early morning delays, and it is again this morning. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
The National Briefing on SAfm. Clarity, context, and conversation. The National Briefing on SAfm. Weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
It is 7 minutes past 6. Good morning and welcome to this Thursday edition of the National Briefing. I am Gwaketso Sachane in for Kathy Motlatlana just for today. How are you doing this morning? Quite a bit that we have on the table this morning on the National Briefing in this hour. We look at the front pages of your newspapers. In the global briefing, we get an update on the tragic earthquake in Japan, the tensions in Germany's parliament leading to pressure on Chancellor Friedrich Merz, and Iran has rejected Oman's proposal for the two countries to jointly manage the Strait of Hormuz. As always, we focus on the continent with Advocate Sipho Mantula. We will also touch on the warnings of the severe weather conditions in parts of the Eastern Cape and KZN. Some good news there from Rob in the traffic update of roads being clear in that part of the country. Do share with us what your experience is this morning. And then before 7, we learn of the Public Sector Project Management Community of Practice, an initiative aimed at strengthening project delivery capability across our public sector. And then in the middle hour, Justice Madlanga has ruled in the matter of Suleiman Karim's return to the Madlanga Commission.
Mr. Karim will be excused from appearing on 14 August 2026 only if he has voluntarily subjected himself to an independent evaluation by a medical specialist agreed by no later than Monday, 3 August 2026, between his representatives and the Commission's evidence leaders.
Here's a question that I have for you. Does referring to someone as gorgeous or darling mean the two of you are close?
I referenced how you address each other at times, either calling each other gorgeous, you tell each other how much you miss each other, and that's yes, dearest. Okay, now have we established the relationship? It's a very deep and personal one.
Yes.
And a very close one.
Correct.
It is the national briefing on SAFM. Kogetswa in for Kathy Mohlahlana. Good morning.
Smart business moves mean more cash flow. Switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Here's Dr. Fahim from Matrix Dental.
We were with our previous insurers for many years prior to the switch. We found that OUTsurance really understood our business needs. We are happy with our premiums. I wish we had switched sooner.
Get a quote to switch and save today. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 0600 60,000. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
The Road Traffic Infringement Authority is now implementing Phase 2 of the Administrative Adjudication of Road Traffic Offences Act. ATO Act is now rolling out in 62 municipalities with 43 service outlets nationwide. We are here to help you solve your infringements quickly and easily. Act now. Remember the elective options available to you under ATO Act. Get a 50% discount when you pay within 32 days after receiving the fine. Make a representation to dismiss a dispute, or rather to dispute a traffic infringement, arrange to pay installments, nominate a new driver, apply for revocation of an enforcement order. Always remember to make use of the RTIA approved payment platforms when paying your traffic fines. Don't be scammed. For any ATO related inquiries, call 0861 227 861 or visit online.ato.gov.za. A quick look at your newspapers this morning. The front page of the Business Day, Standard Bank, Pepco open exploratory talks. That should be interesting. The Citizen, failed projects, no one cares. That is the lead story. The Hospital View housing project in Tembisa said to have collapsed and been vandalized after 87 million rand was spent on it, leaving 500 units unfinished, and there are no consequences for officials and companies involved. Is that not a typical story in our country? Front page of the Sowetan, unjustly targeted. That is a question that a number of people are asking. This centering around the prosecution of Police Commissioner Fani Masemola, the Madlanga, saying Police Commissioner was joined to that 228 Medicare 24 corruption case to embarrass him. We learned all of this through that last day of testimony by IDEC, or former IDEC head Andrea Johnson. And the front page of the Star newspaper stays with that story. Johnson deemed IDEC's arrest of Khumalo needless. What does this mean? considering what we've heard at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, the human cost, whether it is on Fani Masemola or even Brigadier Mukwele, what do you make of that, and what are the consequences for those who seemingly prosecuted them without any grounds whatsoever? You can share your thoughts this morning. Send us your WhatsApp voice notes 0614 104 107. It is a national briefing on SAFM, 13 minutes past 6.
At Koketso Sachane and at SAFM Radio on Twitter.
A quick look at your weather for this morning, starting off in Gauteng and Pretoria in particular. Partly cloudy conditions, lows of 8.23 is your maximum. Johannesburg, similar conditions, lows of 8.20 is the maximum there. Vereeniging, 4 is your minimum and 21 is the maximum. In Mpumalanga, Mbombela, partly cloudy in the morning, otherwise cloudy with isolated rain and showers. 10 your low, 18 the maximum. In Polokwane, Limpopo, find becoming partly cloudy from late in the afternoon. Lows of 8.23 is the maximum. Mahikeng in the northwest, 7 is your low and 23 the maximum. Vryburg, lows of 4 and 22 the maximum. Fine conditions in Bloemfontein, cloudy with morning fog patches, otherwise partly cloudy. Lows of 2.17 is the maximum. In the Northern Cape, Kimberley, lows of 2.18 the maximum there. 4 is your minimum in Appington with a high of 22. In Cape Town, fine, lows of 11.22 the maximum there. We stay in the Western Cape. In George, fine to partly cloudy, lows of 8.19 is the maximum. In the Eastern Cape, Gqeberha, cloudy, lows of 10 and the high is 18. Gukompo City, cloudy with isolated showers and rain, becoming partly cloudy in the afternoon, lows of 12, maximum of 17. At eThekwini, Durban, lows of 14, maximum of 20, cloudy with isolated showers and rain. Richards Bay, partly cloudy to cloudy with scattered rain and showers, lows of 14, 20 the maximum. Pietermaritzburg, cloudy with isolated showers and rain at first, lows of 6 and highs of 17. Do remember there is that weather warning both in parts of the Eastern Cape and in KwaZulu-Natal.
Drivers, winter fatigue creeps in faster than you think. That heater may keep you warm, but it can also make you drowsy. Crack a window. Take your rest breaks seriously. Stay fresh, stay focused, because when you're behind the wheel of a heavy vehicle, fatigue doesn't just risk your life, it risks everyone's. So stay alert, stay visible, and stay safe. This message is brought to you by the National Department of Transport.
In life's most challenging moments of loss, compassion can be your greatest comfort. You shouldn't have to face the financial burden of losing a loved one by yourself. Rest assured, Clientele's funeral plans pay out cash within 24 hours. You can cover up to 13 family members on one plan, ensuring all your loved ones are taken care of, and 3 children are covered at no additional cost. With Clientele, you are not just buying a plan, you are also buying peace of mind. When the time comes, you will need to make important calls with your 200 Rand airtime you will receive when you claim. Plans offer double accidental death cover as well as a transport, grocery and unveiling benefit. Apply today, it's easy. There are no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS SAFM to 48031. That's 48031. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Experience the magic of world-class ballet at the International Winter Ballet Gala, coming to the AfriForum Theatre in Pretoria on Friday, the 31st of July, featuring international stars from the Bolshoi Ballet, acclaimed Cuban artists and South Africa's finest dancers. This spectacular one-day event has performances at 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. Booked now at Tix SA or AfriForum Theatre.
Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Good morning, SAFM. When one say hello, gorgeous, pertaining to what she said that they have a professional relationship, for me, it shows there was also a flirtatious conversation, which is the evidence leader didn't fly it out. They didn't want us to see. So I'm of the view that it was inappropriate for that kind of people to call each other in that way. So it's problematic. You can't call someone's wife, hello, gorgeous, I miss you, things like that. Dango, Manele.
Good morning, Gokezo. Well, the gorgeous could mean close, or is that it's just a backing statement for something? Thank you. Bongani. Bye.
Hi, this is Salim from Durban. When you greet someone and you say, darling, loving, you're actually saying a kind word. You've been polite. And, this is a person that shows a good character. When I go to supermarket sometimes, I wish the cashiers, in a very polite way, call them good words, make them feel good. I think, yeah, the insinuation that there was a relationship and all is far-fetched. I think what happened is they went for a juggler of, Adrian Johnson. They wanted to demean her, they wanted to harm a good character, integrity, and they wanted to cause irreparable and irretrievable harm to her integrity.
Good morning, Koketo, and the listeners of SAFM. This is Miss Joseph from Braamfontein. Koketo, until the officials are held personally liable for the wrong things that they are and decisions that they are taking, and deliberately for that matter. A typical example, this issue of the arrest of Kumalo and Masemulas. Until people like Advocate Johnson are held personally liable and they are being sued personally, not the state. The state mustn't pay, but these guys must be sued in their personal capacity. Even when it comes to the Tembisa issue, the officials, the politicians, they must be sued. In their personal capacity, not the state. Their pension funds must be frozen. Thanks, Mr. Joseph from Ranfontein.
Yeah, Kukezo, good morning. It's Kosnada speaking here. You see the word gorgeous. You cannot direct that word to the wife of somebody. Greeting a wife of somebody, refer her as gorgeous.
Thanks for those voice notes. I mean, while some of us might find it amusing, the whole revelation of gorgeous and I miss you, we cannot run away from questions that are asked around, could it be that all that we heard from Brian Padayachi, from Andrea Johnson, the question that has been asked as to why has all of this happened? Why has Mugwele been charged, and why has there been this targeting of PKTT, the crime intelligence officials as well? Does it have anything to do with close relationships between individuals? And seemingly, at least on the back of what we heard yesterday, that question is even more valid. We'll get your comments and more on some of the stories that we're dealing with this morning. It is the National Briefing on SAFM, 21 minutes past 6.
In case you missed it,
former Group Chief Executive Office of the Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa, Lucky Montana, could no longer touch two of his expensive properties for the time being, spending billions on locomotives that were inappropriate for South African railways. When billions were lost, Lucky Montana blamed former board chair Popo Molefe at the Zondo Commission for much of what went wrong. How do you respond to the news that Lucky Montana's properties have been frozen?
You haven't told me your name.
Joanne Joseph.
Joanne, yes, I got a message that you're going to call me.
That was the Daily Discourse with Joanne Joseph. The Global Briefing on SAFM.
It is that moment for the Global Briefing. Rescue teams are racing against time in southern Japan after a powerful earthquake killed at least 18 people and left hundreds injured. There is also, as mentioned, tensions in the German parliament, it seems. Chancellor there under growing pressure after a controversial cabinet reshuffle. And then also, what is the future of the Straits of Hormuz? This after Iran rejected an Omani proposal to share management of that part of the world. To share their insights more on this, Dr. Benjamin Spatz, a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Town's Graduate School of Business. Dr. Spatz, thank you very much for your time. Good morning.
Good morning.
Quite a bit to look at. Let's start in Japan. There are at least 18 people left, 18 people killed and hundreds left injured.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was the latest earthquake in Japan. Japan sits sort of right at the intersection of four tectonic plates. So there's lots of different earthquakes that happen every year there. But this one recently killed, I think, upwards of 20 now, and has left a number injured and without power.
Do we know at least the rescue missions there, how the country has been responding? It's not the first time that we're seeing Japan being hit by earthquakes.
Yeah, absolutely not. So Japan has one of the most sophisticated early warning systems in the world, precisely because it has so many earthquakes every year. And the initial response was quite rapid. One of the things that I think you could credit with the relatively low casualty toll is the fact that the early warning systems clicked in pretty quickly, so people were evacuated. And in particular, there was a mall that partially collapsed because of a gas explosion, but many people were rushed out quite quickly. Rescuers are still trying to reach further victims, but it's not looking good at this point.
And then in Germany, it seems a decision by Chancellor Merz to have a cabinet reshuffle has caused some sort of concern. This just weeks ahead of those key state elections in September.
Yeah, indeed. So this relatively small reshuffle, there's only 5 political moves. People moved from one cabinet position to another after a key member, Jens Spahn, resigned. But this has caused kind of an outsized intra-party backlash. And I think that that's really for 2 reasons linked to the electoral pressure that you mentioned. And the first is that this was just rather chaotically done, and it was mismanaged, and it just exposes what many see as Merz's lack of competence. And a recent poll even said that he only has about 15% of people saying that they're satisfied with his performance. So it feeds into that. And also, he's consistently criticized for running the country and the coalition more like a kind of a domineering corporate CEO rather than a collaborative, consultative politician. And this is all feeding into that ahead of those elections.
Isn't it too early for him to be polling so low? It wasn't that long ago that he ascended to the leadership of the German government.
Yeah, that's right. It was only a bit over a year ago. And that low polling figures, I mean, he tried to dismiss it by saying by September people will have forgotten this. But, you know, right now there's a strong surge of the Alternative for Germany. That's the AfD party, and that's the far right party that's polling quite strongly, about 27% overall. So in the parliamentary system, not so many parties get over 50%. That's quite rare. But right now, there's a lot of pressure on Merz and his coalition.
And then finally, Dr. Spatz, we cast our eyes to what's happening in the Middle East. It seems as if the questions remain around that part of the world, particularly the future of how the Straits of Hormuz will be run. How did we end up with Omani's proposing shared management of the Strait of Hormuz with Iran?
Well, Oman is trying to insert itself as a key interlocutor and mediator along with Pakistan, and Oman does sit along the waterway as well, and it's trying to kind of assert itself and create a path forward. What Oman proposed is a 50-50 breakdown of control of the strait, and Iran rejected that outright. The reason being that Iran just want more control, they want more money from it. Because Oman proposed that there would be, quote, voluntary fees that would go to the joint management. And the more money and the more, all that leads to more leverage. And what's going on right now is really this dispute, you could say, between Iran and Oman, where Iran wants more control. This is all about negotiation with the United States, actually.
All right. And of course, the question that does remain is the current state of that conflict. There was a moment where the straits were open, but then they were not, depending on who you believe. If it's the White House or the Iranians, what is the current state there in terms of movement around the straits or through the Straits of Hormuz?
Well, as you say, it's really unclear, but I think effectively what we're seeing is that even 1 or 2 small incidents where a ship is attacked, and that's what's continuing to happen, that means that the private sector doesn't want to move through the straits, and therefore insurers don't want to provide insurance, and people are moving in different ways. So the strait is incredibly significant. I mean, about a quarter of the world's oil went through the straits before this conflict. That's not happening now. People aren't moving through, and that's going to continually be the case. And this has huge implications for the global economy, and I mean, even for listeners now sitting in their cars who know that the price of petrol has gone up considerably.
It definitely has. We appreciate your time as always, Dr. Benjamin Spatz, who is the senior lecturer at the UCT Graduate School of Business. Your reflections on what's happening outside of South Africa. Of course, there is a lot happening at home that we are commenting on, whether it's the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, what's happening with the PIC, the story around the reversal of the decision by the National Treasury when it comes to funding of municipalities or imparting that particular the money that they do give on a quarterly basis, if you will. Your thoughts on that? 086002032. There's also your WhatsApp line, text or voice note 0614 104 107. We do have a couple of more of your voice notes before we get to the latest in the news headlines. The question around Gorgeous still remains.
Hi there. Basically saying hello, gorgeous, darling, I miss you, etc., does show a more personal relationship than a professional one. However, it was mentioned that a lot of the information would not be read out loud because there were children's names involved, and nobody wanted to involve the children in this horrific way. So that is why it is determined that there was a personal relationship.
Thank you very much for that. We'll take more of your voice notes as well as your calls when we do have time. It is 6:30 and Ann Musa's got the latest news headlines.
Good morning. In the headlines, the Democratic Alliance has asked the Pretoria High Court to set aside 2 resolutions adopted by the City of Tshwane Council earlier this month. The party argues the decisions were unlawful and should be declared invalid. The Madlanga Commission has heard evidence suggesting the former head of IDAC, Advocate Andrea Johnson, and suspended Deputy Crime Intelligence Head Feroz Khan may have shared a closer relationship than she previously disclosed. And health experts say Africa's ability to respond to future disease outbreaks will depend on strengthening community-based health systems. I'll have details on these and other stories at 7.
SAfm, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. We started Pretoria with an overrun on the overnight roadworks. This is the N1 South coming through the Pumalani Plaza down towards Montana. The N1 South into the roadworks is slow. The N4, Bakwena Highway after Durham Plaza joining into that N1 South queue is being held up as well. Mighty Mopani Highway heavy down to Esquiam Pathlele and WFN Como coming out of Attridgeville towards Little Manhattan slow. Joburg's N3 North under pressure already up to Van Buren through the Heldon Ace roadwork section. Durban looking generally okay. Traffic where it should be, really, for this time of morning. But it does include a busy run up the N2 into Westwood Mall. That queue perhaps a little bit earlier than normal. Cape Town, a high volume Thursday with traffic on the N2 queuing up between the airport and Mowbray Main. And the R102 Funeribic Road, we've seen it this week. Seeing it again today from Ester Rafia through the Kales River. R102 just queuing in that Blackheath area. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is SAfm Sport with Zai Khan.
Good morning, Zai. I must admit up front that I didn't know that Chad Leclerc was still swimming, but hey, we thank him for what he's done for Team South Africa at the Commonwealth Games.
I mean, listen, it's safe to say that Team South Africa, thanks to Chad and company, didn't leave the pool empty-handed. So what a frequent flyer he's become in that pool, and it could be his swan song. So yeah, let's start with the Commonwealth Games, where Team South Africa swimmers capped a sensational campaign in the Glasgow pool, adding another 6 medals on the final night of the competition. Peter Kutsia led the charge, winning the men's 100-meter backstroke in a new Commonwealth Games record of 51.77 seconds before helping South Africa to bronze in the men's 4x100-meter medley relay. Kristen Sadie also struck gold in the S7, and that was the men's 50 meters freestyle, while Kaylee Corbett claimed silver, and the women's medley relay team secured bronze in an African record. The knight belonging to Chad Leclerc, who won his 21st Commonwealth Games medal to become the most decorated athlete in the history of the Games. Team South Africa now sit 7th on the medals table with 22 medals, 6 gold, 8 silver and 8 bronze. On to soccer now. Despite a major squad overhaul ahead of the 2026-27 season, Siwelele FC coach Lehlonolo Siema believes his side could emerge stronger in the Betway Premiership.
I think I have a better team than I had last season, to be honest with you. And I must be careful when I say that, because the other guys that were there last season, they did very well. But when I say better, I'm saying in terms of depth and balance of the team in all positions. I can tell you that it was. And we don't have that number of injured players also that I found, and then I had to carry them throughout the season.
Let's go to soccer action last night from the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. Ghana, they made the perfect start. They had a 2-0 victory over the tournament debutants Cape Verde in Group D. Let's go to FIFA. They have a proposal to create a commercial company linked to competitions such as the World Cup. And their plan is to say that each of the 211 member association could access up to $40 million if the plan is approved. UEFA strongly opposed the proposal, insisting football's governance is not for sale, and that this commercial company that's linked to the competitions like the World Cup could divide, the sports unions. In the meantime, CAF has confirmed it's received FIFA's proposal on the planned FIFA Forward Enterprise Initiative. CAF President Dr. Patrice Motsepe will meet the Executive Committee next week to evaluate the proposal, while member associations have been encouraged to study the plan and take part in the consultation process. CAF says it remains committed to working with FIFA to grow football across Africa. And finally, rugby. Springbok hooker Malcolm Marx believes the favourites to start against the All Blacks when rugby's greatest rivalry gets underway next month, with Argentina first up in Buenos Aires next week. Johan Grobbelaar and Jan-Hendrik Wessels are expected to battle it out for the backup hooker role as Rassie Erasmus finalises his squad. That's your sport. We'll tackle more at the top of the hour. I'm Zai Khan.
This FNB Market Brief is brought to you by FNB Business, empowering South African entrepreneurs with the relevant insights they need to grow and succeed every day.
For our first market brief this morning, Ndawuleng Lichela, business journalist. Hope you're well this morning. Good morning.
Morning, Koketso. I'm well, thanks. I hope you're good too.
I'm good. Well, it seems, looking at what's on the agenda, the Fed leaving rates unchanged. Also, Microsoft shining, Meta stumbling as AI spending divide emerges. Do tell us more.
Let's get right into it, kicking things off with Fed Chair Kevin Walsh and his team of policymakers standing pat on rates. Interest rates in the US are unchanged at 3.5 to 3.75%, but the decision carried a hawkish tone. 3 policymakers dissented, calling for a 75 basis point hike as inflation remains above the central bank's 2% target. While the Fed's statement was largely unchanged, markets are now almost fully pricing in a September rate hike pending upcoming inflation and jobs data. Now, for South Africa and emerging markets as a whole, higher US rates could strengthen the dollar, weigh on our currencies like the rand, and tighten global financial conditions. Now, that could dampen capital flows into emerging markets, lift borrowing costs, and keep investors cautious toward risk assets globally. Turning our focus to company news, Microsoft and Meta delivered different results, offering fresh insight into the AI race dominating global markets. Now, Microsoft beat expectations with Azure cloud revenue surpassing $100 billion and strong growth, suggesting its heavy investment in AI is paying off. Meta, however, missed earnings estimates, issued weaker guidance, and revealed a drop in free cash flow as spending on AI infrastructure accelerated. Now, the contrasting performances highlight a growing divide among hyperscalers. It seems like investors remain willing to back companies spending billions on AI, but only where those investments are translating into earnings growth, stronger demand, and a clear path to returns. Now, tracking equity markets, there's plenty for investors to digest, from the latest decision by the Fed to a wave of corporate earnings and renewed tensions between the US and Iran, the latter keeping Brent crude close to the $90 a barrel mark. Now, against that backdrop, US stocks closed in the red, with a similar mood filtering through to Asia this morning as investors await a monetary policy decision from the Bank of Japan tomorrow. Now, ahead of that, most markets in the region are trading lower. Back home, the JSE bucked the global trend, with the all-share index closing 0.5% higher. Tracking currency markets, the rand slightly firmer this morning on the back of a softer dollar. It's trading at 16.64 to the greenback, 22.24 to the pound, and 19.08 to the euro. That's your market update. I'll be back in an hour's time with the latest local news influencing market action.
The FNB Market Brief was brought to you by FNB Business, your dedicated partner with decades of expertise building and growing South African businesses. FNB, help changes everything. FNB Business is proud to partner with SAFM's The National Briefing. We stand shoulder to shoulder with South African entrepreneurs and businesses because we know building a business is a 24/7 commitment. Whether you're managing cash flow, planning for growth, or navigating challenges, we deliver the sharp insights and practical solutions you need to move forward with confidence. From smart funding options to expert business advice, FNB Business is right there with you. Visit fnb.co.za/business. FNB, help changes everything. Africa in Focus with Advocate Sipho Mantula on SAFM.
20 minutes to 7, one of my favorite moments on the national briefing. The dear brother, Advocate Sipho Mantula, joining us. Hey, Rasta, good morning.
Africa, refreshing morning and Jumbo Africa to the listeners.
Good morning to you. Quite a bit that we have, that you have for us. We saw a successful conclusion of the African Union Executive Council there. The foreign affairs ministers really doing well.
Indeed, so but this meeting of foreign affairs ministers, as you know, it is a mid-year meeting that happens among ministers trying to talk about the AU theme. But I think they have missed some of the opportunities. You know, we will always say the hits and the misses. Yes, they were talking about continental integration, but they are afraid to talk about continental migration. They go on talking about accelerating Agenda 2063. They went on their budgets, talk about the budgets and the administrative management of the AU, as well as the multilateral cooperation on economic and trade affairs. They go on the issues of, again, you know, like I say, of talking about the meeting that is coming in Egypt, where in October there will be a meeting of the AU and the regional economic bodies, so ECOWAS and SADC. But like I said, so for me, the meeting was not exciting because it did not deal with key issues that affect the continent, only to assure the role of the countries that are paying their levies within the AU, Burundi, Angola, Ethiopia, and Kenya. So that's how the foreign affairs ministers conclude their mission in Addis yesterday.
It seems as if, on to other matters, Advocate, that the Gabon Equatorial Guinea border dispute has now been resolved?
Indeed, it's been resolved over 50 years, but also here you see how International Court of Justice struggled with this case. So that this was a case where you had to consider the Paris Treaty of 1900 or the Bata Convention of 1974. But we see both Equatorial Guinea and Gabon resolve this dispute in terms of the 30-hectare island of Mbani, as well as the two smaller low-lying islands of Cocotides and Conga. since 1990. So when you see border disputes, you recall Somalia, Somaliland, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Sudan and South Sudan. But when you see border disputes in the African continent, you must know it's the issue of the Western countries and Western powers who have created those borders during the Berlin Conference. And the International Court of Justice is now struggling how to interpret all these treaties. But it seems both countries have found each other.
And it was not too long ago where we saw conversations around an extension of presidential terms in Zimbabwe. Now it seems similar discussions happening in Congo, but they're approaching it very differently through a referendum.
That is very true. The referendum, they have to have a national dialogue. Tshisekedi is under pressure from the opposition. As you said, the 2028 number, it seems, is in the SADC region. It was Zimbabwe. Now we are going to the DRC. The highest court of the land in the DRC approving this controversial referendum law that others are saying will pave the way for Tshisekedi to come back for the third term. But what is interesting, is that their constitution have said that there's no way the president can, the government or the state can amend the presidential term limit, cannot be revised. But here you now have a referendum that has to decide on this limited 2 5-year terms that Tshisekedi has to conclude in 2028. And he has said it before, if the electorate bring him back, nothing stops him to go for the third term, and he will amend that in the constitution. Others will say it's a back door or a front door parliamentary power to amend the constitution.
On this day in history, Advocate Mantula, there is the reminder of the unfortunate death of Sudanese Vice President John Garang.
That's very true. 21 years ago, the then former late president of South Sudan, John Garang Dimapio, he was the vice president of the then New Sudan between him and Omar al-Bashir. Now, he died from a helicopter crash. Recall also 1986, Samora Machel, but this one of John Garang Dimapio, it said he was having, after a meeting with Museveni a day before, and they were engaging on the comprehensive peace agreement between North Sudan and South Sudan. And then John Garang passed away in that manner. It was very sad when I was in the South Sudan, whenever they talk about the passing of John Garang, there's also a museum in the capital city of Juba where they've got his bones are resting there as a museum of John Garang Dimapio in South Sudan. There were riots actually on this day after his passing. When it was announced that John Garang Dimapio has crashed with a helicopter, there were riots in Khartoum and some parts of South Sudan. Asante sana, my brother, as you are still leading the conversation, SAFM observing the International Mandela Month and the day of John Garang Dimapio.
We appreciate you as always, Advocate Sipho Mantula, the researcher at the Thabo Mbeki African School of Public and International Affairs at UNISA. It's 14 minutes to 7.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 Rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. Join today. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
This week on Expresso, Mandela Day may be over, but the spirit of giving lives on.
We reflect on the impact of this year's initiatives and discover how organizations like the Homestead are inspiring South Africans to keep making a difference in their communities all year round.
We also get moving with Claudia as she shares simple anti-inflammatory workouts to boost circulation, support your lymphatic system, and keep you active through winter.
And we swing into action with Spider-Man, brand new day.
Join us on Expresso weekdays from 6 to 9 on S3.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
Do you know what our problem is?
We have a problem?
You're a little clingy.
Clingy?
Every time I start getting somewhere, you want me.
But I need you.
You can't have all of me. I need a little room to grow.
So what are you saying?
Put me in a Nedbank 32-day notice account. Give me some time. I'll come back better. Open a Nedbank 32-day notice account on the Money app and bank your money this July savings month. Go to nedbank.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
SAfm, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Very busy around Pretoria. There's obviously the overrun on the overnight roadworks that we've been mentioning this morning. N1 South coming through Pumaladi Plaza towards Montana. Behind that, the N4 is quite heavy coming through Durbanpur Plaza onto that N1 turn to get into the roadworks and into the delay. So N1 South, N4 East are busy. Mighty Mobile Highway is heavy. Queues from Theo Martins all the way down to SKM Patrali. Looks like there might be traffic light troubles there. Roger Dyson through Pretoria Industrial Area heading towards the R101 is quite disrupted as well. A crash bottom end of the N1 South through Buccleuch. Traffic very quickly pushing back towards Allendale Road. Durban Higginson Highway out of Chatsworth towards Havenside is busy. Wakesley Road coming in from Sarnia moving up towards the M7 under a bit of pressure as well. And Cape Town today just generally busy. High volume day by the looks of things. N1 from Plattekloof Hill to Kuba Interchange is busy. N2 backlogging from Robert Sabukwe right through to Mowbray Main Road, and a bit of traffic just standing on Baden-Powell Drive heading towards Muizenberg. Just a delay as you arrive into Strandfontein Pavilion area. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
Imagine if you could save time like you save money. A second here, a minute there. Type a little faster, walk a little faster. Or you could stop scrolling on the internet. Just think of all the hours you'll save. Now what if you could take all that time and invest it? Watch it grow. Until eventually, one day, you'd have so much time that you wouldn't know what to do with it all. But unfortunately, time doesn't work like that. It can't be stored or banked. And unlike money, you can't make it back. That's why after 50 years of investing, we've learned that time is the greatest gift of all. And the good news is, if you invest early, time gives you money. And then money gives you more time to do whatever you want to do, even if it is scrolling on the internet. Ellen Gray, long-term investing. Ellen Gray is an authorized FSP.
Head to Dis-Chem for your best winter buys. Look out for the yellow label to enjoy bulk savings on Better Rewards brands. Swipe your Better Rewards card when you buy 2 packs of Grandpa Headache Powders 38 sticks. Now only R159.98. Save 62 Rand. Plus double up on your savings when you buy 2 packs of Rehydrate 6 sachets. Now only R169.98. Save 70 Rand. Valid until 9 August at Dis-Chem. Better health starts here.
Your older car may not have adaptive cruise control, but Outsurance Essential Car Insurance has got you covered. 68-year-old John pays only R391 a month for his 2014 Chevrolet Sonic. Gets claims paid in cash and chooses his own panel beaters. Don't pay more than you need to insure your older car. Get Outsurance Essential Car Insurance today. For more, for unfinanced cars older than 5 years and valued at less than 150,000 Rand, SMS car to 43185. That's card to 43185. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
At Koketso Sachane and at SAfm Radio on Twitter.
With a few minutes before we get to the latest news at 7 with Ann Musa, severe weather continues, winter weather continues to battle parts of the Eastern Cape with heavy snow, rain, dense fog and icy roads, creating dangerous driving conditions. Authorities are urging motorists to postpone non-essential travel as key routes remain affected, while the N2 near Moy Plus earlier was partially closed, and I think we got some good news from Rob in the traffic update saying all roads are clear. Unati Bingose is the Eastern Cape Transport Department spokesperson. Unati, good morning to you.
Greetings, sir. Greetings, sir, listeners.
We have seen those warnings. There were grave concerns around the roads in and around the Eastern Cape. But as mentioned, Rob did share that most are closed, or rather open. What are the conditions right now?
Look, we wake up to much better conditions this morning. Of course, the R58 between Barclay and Lady Grey, which was closed at around midday, it was open around about 7, and it remains open again today. There is no snowfall. The snow that we are seeing is only on the side of the road, which has cleared it for motorists. And it must be said that the first day of these weather conditions, which was on Tuesday, was by far the worst for us in the Eastern Cape, with a number of fatal crashes that accounted for no less than 12 lives. Of course, the worst of those was the one that was reported on the N2 in Moy Plus, where 6 people died.
With the weather conditions at least improving, the roads much better, Unati, are you expecting in terms of the weather forecast for the situation to in any way get worse than it is right now?
According to the weather services, things were bound to get better starting from today going into the weekend. So the worst is behind us, but we still urge motorists and road users in general to remain extra cautious and extra vigilant, because the soil is saturated, and the next worst thing that can happen will be rock falls and possibly mudslides. That's what we're fearing for. But our engineers and traffic law enforcement personnel are on the ground monitoring the situation.
All right, we appreciate your time this morning. Unati Bingose there is Eastern Cape Transport Department spokesperson. If you are in that part of the country, do share the weather conditions, the road conditions, and we'll make sure we give an update as we continue with the national briefing on SAFM. It's 5 minutes to 7.
The national briefing on SAFM, weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
The Project Management Institute, in partnership with the Presidency, the South African Revenue Service, and UNISA Graduate School of Business Leadership, is launching the Public Sector Project Management Community of Practice. This, they say, is a new initiative designed to strengthen project delivery capability across South Africa's public sector. To tell us more about this, we're joined by Dr. Sanele Nhlabadzi, who's a Senior Lecturer Project Management at the UNISA Graduate School of Business. Dr. Nhlabadzi, thank you very much for your time. Good morning.
Good morning to you and your listeners.
The importance of us strengthening project delivery capability across our public sector, of course, a huge important contributor to the economy and important contributor to overall delivery in the country. The significance of the Public Sector Project Management Community of Practice, please do share.
Basically, we're in an environment that is quite complex in the sense that, excuse me, that we've got a very strong legislative environment. But when you implement projects, you actually need an environment that is enabling to actually deliver projects. So you find that there's a bit of disconnect between the two. But we found that there are parts of government, like SARS, that have been able to navigate that environment to be able to deliver projects. Like, for instance, it's got a Modernization 2.0 project that they've done. They're excellent at doing that. So the question that we then asked ourselves to say, if SARS can do it and they are also under the same legislative environment, then how can we then work with project management professional associations like PMI to actually make sure that we are sharing those learnings and those practices that SARS has been able to do across the different departments, because SARS has become good at collecting our taxes. So we want to have that delivery capability with the government departments that also spend our taxes.
Are we specific, Dr. Nhlabadzi, as to which projects we are talking about in government?
No, we're talking about all projects in government. Because basically, remember, for service delivery to happen, any change that needs to happen, it triggers a project. So we need to build that national capability to deliver projects across government, irrespective of whether it's building hospitals or it's digitalization of particular departments, etc., across the spectrum.
A part of me wonders, of course we celebrate the fact that it is happening, but a part of me wonders why only now? We've always had examples of best practices in government and also in the private sector, drawing from institutions such as the Graduate School of Business. Why only now?
But it hasn't, we've had pockets of project management capability in different areas. But what we're looking at now is actually making sure that it's an intentional, integrated way of basically saying, if there's a department within government, like SARS, that is able to deliver projects successfully, how are those lessons shared across different government departments? Because you have those pockets of excellence, but we're creating an environment that enables the different entities of government to share those practices, to say how do you deliver projects in that particular legislative environment.
And through which government department will this happen? I suppose what I'm asking is the representation or the representative of government. Under which department does this fall under?
It's not an official structure. It's a community of practice. So basically we're saying anybody who is involved in projects within the public sector is welcome to join this. And we're working with the presidency and we're working with SARS, with government departments, as the presidency obviously is overarching because they are responsible for all government. But SARS, that has been a good example of how project management can be delivered successfully in the public sector, is key to that. And then the other government departments. So basically it's looking at every single government department that has projects that need to be implemented. So those individuals within that government department need to be able to not just have qualifications, have certifications in project management, but also have that practical experience. And the community of practice basically creates a home, for lack of a better word, for government institutions to share, to say what has happened in SARS can be done in other government departments.
Right.
So SARS is now going to be able to share that with those different government entities.
We do appreciate this good news. Thank you very much to Dr. Sanele Nhlabatsi, the Senior Lecturer, Project Management at UNISA Graduate School of Business, speaking to us about the launch of the Public Sector Project Management Community of Practice. It is 7 o'clock, time for the latest news with Ann Musa.
Outsurance Essential is made for older cars. Claims are paid in cash within 5 working days, and you choose your own panel beater. SMS CAR to 43185. That's CAR to 43185. Theft, accident, and 1 million rand third-party cover for your older car. Outsurance Essential has it all. Get a quote. SMS CAR to 43185. That's CAR to 43185.
In our top stories, court reserves judgment in DA's Tshwane Council challenge, and Matlanga Commission probes nature of Johnson and Khan's relationship. Good morning. Judgment in the matter between the Democratic Alliance and the City of Tshwane Council has been reserved until Friday. The DA is challenging the Tshwane Council's decision to reinstate the municipality's Group Chief Financial Officer, Gareth Mnisi, and suspended City Manager Johan Mittler. The Council for the City of Tshwane Speaker has argued that the DA's case is based on fear rather than facts. They further argued that there is no evidence that the acting City Manager, Musa Kumalo, is unable to perform his duties. The attempted murder trial of Vusimuzi Matlala and 4 co-accused resumes in the Johannesburg High Court today. The court will continue hearing evidence from Captain Pimi Sekgobela, who's been cross-examined in a trial within a trial. Sekgobela has detailed the events surrounding the arrest of accused Musa Kekana following the murder of Vereniging engineer Armand Swart in April of 2024. Yesterday, he testified that he did not have enough information to obtain a search warrant before entering the property of the accused.
Lina la motho ke tla reng ke apply la go ye.
Because at the time I had not known the name that I was supposed to apply the search warrant for.
Ka experience ke na le go yona a ke so kopane le search warrant ba apply la addressing is na lina la mo.
With the experience that I have not come across for application of a search warrant with only an address and not a name.
At least libile ge ka ba nickname ba re known as event bokao.
At least maybe if the name will be an alias name such as known as, then it's a different story.
The Matlanga Commission has heard text messages suggesting the former head of IDAC, Advocate Andrea Johnson, and suspended Deputy Crime Intelligence Head Feroz Khan shared a closer relationship than she previously disclosed. The messages reveal Khan referred to Johnson as gorgeous, invited her and her children to dinner, and sought her assistance over concerns that the Hawks were allegedly plotting against him. Johnson, who testified for 6 days, concluded her testimony before the Commission yesterday. Commissioner Sandile Kumalo says the exchanges between Khan and Johnson showed their relationship was far closer than she had initially portrayed.
You just look at 3249. I will just read, for example, where he wants to know who's plotting against him, and you are to assist him. And he suspects that it is the Hawks that are plotting against him, and the two of you decide to meet, and you arrange for him not to sign in the normal course, but to come in via the VIP or entrance and come directly to your office without going via reception.
The KwaZulu-Natal Department of Transport has confirmed snowfall on the R617 road in the southern part of the province. Road maintenance teams have been deployed graders to clear the snow before it exceeds 30 centimetres, while traffic officials continue to monitor conditions under the province's snow response plan. The department says it's working to prevent a repeat of the September 2024 snowfall, which stranded more than 1,800 vehicles and closed the N3 near Van Riemen's Pass. And finally, health experts say Africa's response to future disease outbreaks will depend on stronger community-based health systems. This emerged at the 26th International AIDS Conference in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. HIV vaccine products development team lead at the NGO Eavida, Dr. Vincent Muturikwe, says the decades-long response to HIV has provided valuable lessons that can be applied to managing Ebola and other emerging infectious diseases.
African countries are experiencing more and more outbreaks of these emerging infectious diseases. We need to be better prepared with countermeasures, vaccines, drugs in countries that are able to respond much faster to prevent these outbreaks from getting large and out of control. For diseases like Ebola, we think that having vaccines in place, stockpiled in the countries which are at risk for these outbreaks to occur, and vaccinating health workers in advance with vaccines that have been tested could enable us to see much better outcomes.
Recapping the top story, judgment in the matter between the Democratic Alliance and the City of Tshwane Council has been reserved until Friday. For SAfm News, I am Anne Musa.
OUTsurance is in the business of saving you money on your car insurance premium. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. OUTsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754.
Your older car may not have voice control, but OUTsurance Essential Car Insurance has got you covered. 68-year-old Andre pays only 450 Rand a month for his 2012 GWM Steed, gets claims paid in cash, and chooses his own panel beater. Still paying new car insurance premiums for your older car? Get OUTsurance Essential Car Insurance today for unfinanced cars older than 5 years and valued at less than 150,000 rands. SMS car to 43185. That's car to 43185. License, insurer and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
It's a very good morning to you in your SAfm Sports headlines. Chad Leclos becoming the Commonwealth Games most decorated athlete as Team South Africa cap a golden campaign in Glasgow. And in rugby, the Bliss Boks will chase a third straight Cape Town Sevens title after World Rugby confirms the 2027 calendar. All the details at around 7:30.
SAfm, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Gauteng Highway is looking busy now. A crash on the M1 South at Buccleuch. That's pushing a queue back through Allendale, marching back towards New Road. That looks particularly heavy. Crash just north of the airport on the R21. It's northbound at Pomona, but southbound also backlogging into that both ways. Heavy, either to the airport or leaving the airport on your way to Pretoria. Issues getting through Galulis this morning, N12 and R24 routes into the interchange for a turn onto the N3 North up to Linksfield, looking very slow. And the Mike 1 from Boyson's all jammed up already through to Parktown. Locally, Pretoria, some roadworks from last night still in place on the M1 South, coming through from Pumalani Plaza towards Montana. Behind that, the N4 is heavy, trying to get into the M1. The N4 from Durbanport Plaza, moving through to the M1 South ramp, very slow. And big traffic on the mighty Mopoli Highway this morning, from Brits Road, Theo Martins, all the way down to Eskia and Puthleli. Durban, the Higginson Highway, coming out of Chatsworth, slow to Havenside this morning. The M7 over St John's Avenue Bridge, going into Pinetown, is slow. The Kumashu Highway, backlogging Malindella down towards the N2. Cape Town fairly busy, high volumes this morning on the highways. The N1 from Plattercliff through to Kuba, get a change. N2 from Robert Sobukwe through to Mowbray Main Road is very slow. And we saw this yesterday, seeing it again today. Just a backlog going into Musenberg, coming off Baden-Powell through Sunrise Circle onto Royal down towards the beachfront area. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
The National Briefing on SAfm. Clarity, context, and conversation. The National Briefing on SAfm. Weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
At 10 minutes past 7. Good morning and welcome to the second hour of the National Briefing. Kokezo in for Kathy Motlatlana this morning. In this hour, we focus on our three big stories. In the next few minutes, we go back to what happened at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, where Commission Chair Justice Madlanga made a ruling on the return to the commission of businessman Suleiman Karim. There is also a new BEE study painting quite a mixed picture, but it seems as if we are still not seeing progress being made in certain sectors of the economy when it comes to BEE. And then also former Miss South Africa finalist Chidima Adesina, she has been in court, issues around her seeking to remain in South Africa, and that particular case has raised questions on the country's immigration system. Those are some of the conversations that we'll be having in this hour. Feel free to have your say. As always, send your WhatsApp voice notes to 0614 104 107. Good morning.
There's a song that goes, "Money can't buy me love." And that's true. But then they told us all you need is love, which anybody with a mortgage will tell you most certainly is not true. Love won't pay your parking tickets or your student loan. It's also needy. It requires effort, availability, constant care. But more importantly, love requires time. And while money can't buy you love, it can certainly free up some of your time. Time to spend on the things you love, with the people you love. And if you're looking, maybe even time to find the one you love. That's why, after 50 years of investing, we've learned that time is the greatest gift of all. And the good news is, if you invest early, time gives you money. And then money gives you more time to do the things you love. And don't you love that about investing? Ellen Gray, long-term investing. Ellen Gray is an authorized FSP.
Join us this Thursday evening on Top Billing as designer Erica Skalkvik renovates her own home. Metro FM DJs Muesli and Scoop share the secret to their new show. A Khalid-Stop artist inspires a Paris fashion house. And Michael joins Dylan Lewis on a tour of his sculpture garden. That's Top Billing this Thursday at 7. Repeat Sunday at 1 on S3 and Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. on SABC1.
SAFM. Prime time all day long.
The Madlanga Commission has delivered another significant ruling ordering that Northwest businessman Suleiman Karim appear in person before the Commission on the 4th or the 14th of August. This unless an independent medical assessment confirms he's fit to testify. The ruling, of course, made yesterday on the last day of former IDEC head Andrea Johnson's appearance before the Commission. Justice Madlanga also raising concerns about whether suspended former National Police Commissioner General Fanima Semola was correctly grouped with others accused in that 360 million rand Medicare 24 tender case. One person who has had her finger on the pulse is SABC News reporter Sibahle Mota, who joins us now on the line. Sibahle, as always, good morning.
Good morning to you, Koketo, and thank you so much for having me.
Quite a bit happening at the Commission. Let's start with Suleiman Karim. There's been this back and forth as to whether or not he will be appearing before the Commission or when he would be appearing. Justice Madlanga finally taking a decision and delivering that ruling yesterday with some very important conditions to note.
No, definitely, Koketo. As you know, his legal counsel has literally fought tooth and nail to not have Karim appear before the Madlanga Commission, and one of the reasons or the arguments that they advance in their application is that they'd like to present before the Madlanga Commission every 2 weeks just to give update and progress on Suleiman Karim's health condition. But as things stand right now, the chairperson has said that if Karim does not present himself before the Commission by the 14th of August, then there must be an independent medical evaluation before any further postponement will be considered. And this was probably one of the things or the argument that was advanced by his legal counsel, saying that getting an independent assessment or an independent medical examination that was chosen by the Commission slightly also infringes on his rights. So it seems like Suleiman Karim will have to undergo medical evaluation independently before there can be any postponement that is granted to him. So we don't know how that will actually go, but what I do know is the fact that his legal counsel had actually somehow alluded to the fact that Karim doesn't necessarily have to present himself before the Commission. And I remember even Justice Mbiseli Madlanga saying that this indefinite postponement that they are seeking somehow reflects or shows that he doesn't want to come before the Madlanga Commission. So again, we'll have to wait until the 14th of August to see if Suleiman Karim will be presenting himself before the Commission.
And then, Sibahle, we've seen through the testimony of Andrea Johnson questions being asked around IDEC's decision to prosecute those crime intelligence officials yesterday. It centered in part around the decisions around the investigation and prosecution of General Fanima Semola.
No, definitely. I think one of the things that stands out definitely from Johnson's testimony is that it somehow looked as though the IDEC acted outside of its mandate. And I think with the General Fanima Semola matter, it also is reflective of that and what the commissioners as well as the evidence leaders were putting. And what we did find is that, Johnson finally conceded to the fact that actually General Fanima Semola may have incorrectly been lumped together with the other suspects in this Medicare 24 matter. And what we are finding out is that he was charged under the PFMA, and what the commissioners and the evidence leaders has put to him to Johnson is that why would they charge him with standalone PFM charges, where else they didn't charge him with any corruption linked charges that the other co-accused are being charged with. So she finally just did concede of the fact that maybe actually they shouldn't have lumped him together. And what Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga also put to Johnson is that he believes that this was an attempt to paint him in a very bad light, to embarrass him, and to make it seem as though he's also very corrupt, just like the other co-accused. So I think it was a very, very tough time for Johnson. And I mean, if anybody was following that case, I think it actually just proves to the allegations before the commission to say that this IDEC, this unit, actually acted out of its mandate.
Sure. We appreciate your time as always, SABC News reporter Sibahle Mota, who has been following the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry quite closely. Here's a question. What progress has been made when it comes to the implementation of triple BEE? We answer that question with Lindiwe Ngube, Accreditation Manager for the South African National Accreditation Systems.
This Sunday evening at 7 on the Tastemaster Professional, our chefs take a road trip to the beautiful Elgin Valley to celebrate fresh seasonal produce. It's all about cooking on fire. And with elimination on the cards, they'll have to bring the heat if they want to stay in the competition. Who will make it through to the next round? Find out on the Tastemaster Professional. Sunday at 7, repeat Saturday at 4:30 and Sunday at 3:30 only on SABC2.
Experience the magic of world-class ballet at the International Winter Ballet Gala coming to the AfriForum Theatre in Pretoria on Friday, the 31st of July. That is tomorrow, featuring international stars from the Bolshoi Ballet and acclaimed Cuban artists and South Africa's finest dancers. This spectacular one-day event has performances at 7 p.m. and 3 p.m. Book now at Tix SA or at AfriForum Theatre.
At Koketso Sachane and at SAfmRadio on Twitter.
A decade after implementation of the amended Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Act, a new report paints a picture of South Africa's transformation journey, quite a mixed picture at least. While black ownership, skills development and enterprise supply development have shown measurable improvement, progress in management control and representation at board and executive level remains slow. The report released by the Triple BEE Commission also highlighting major differences across sectors, with agriculture, property and financial services lagging behind. Lindiwe Ngube is accreditation manager from the South African National Accreditation System. Thank you very much for your time. Lindiwe, good morning.
Morning, Koketso, and morning, listeners.
On the one hand, we acknowledge progress that has been made, but also at the same time, the lack of progress, in part, not surprising considering the resistance, if one could describe it as such, in certain sectors. Is that accurate?
What I can say, the progress is indeed, it remains uneven, and the pace it's not fast enough. So it shows that there's insufficient achievement in terms of broad-based economic inclusive. But there is progress, measurable progress in several areas like ownership, skills development, and enterprise and supplier development. But definitely the data does show that there's persistent shortcomings in management control, both representative and gender inclusion, as well as transformation within other sectors, as you mentioned.
In zoning in on those sectors, agriculture, property, financial services, very important pillars of the economy. Why is it that we are not seeing progress being made in those particular sectors?
I think the biggest issue is the access to finance, which we have in our country. So the more we have finance that is available to black people, then we can see more improvement. But the progress which is shown on the transformation report, it shows that we can do it. We can push the transformation. However, it needs the government intervention in certain cases to ensure that there is progress in other sectors. Without the government intervention, it becomes difficult for those sectors to improve.
Isn't there also a responsibility, Lindiwe, on the part of those who are in an ownership and management position within these sectors to themselves ensure that there is that level of transformation over and above the requirement on black people to have the resources to buy into the sector?
There is a responsibility. You are correct on that. There is a responsibility. Actually, it's a responsibility of everyone in South Africa. This transformation will change South Africa as a whole and will change our economy status. So if an individual is owning a company, is sitting on the ownership level or on the management control level, they have a responsibility to assist with the change.
All right. We appreciate your time this morning. Lindiwe Ngube, Accreditation Manager from the South African National Accreditation System. That latest report by the BEE or Triple BEE Commission, painting a mixed picture as mentioned. But the question that I remain with is the concerns around lack of transformation in the agriculture, property and financial services, it lagging behind. Are we seeing an unwillingness on the part of those who have ownership of these sectors to actually change? Because there is the responsibility on their part as well to ensure that we see transformation there. How else does one enforce the need for change, considering the history of our country? Your thoughts on this, you can send us your WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107. Up next, we connect with Craig Smith, immigration lawyer and immigration law expert. A lot emerging on the back of this court case involving former Miss South African finalist Chidimma Adetshina.
The National Briefing on SAfm. Weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
The legal battle involving Chidimma Adetshina continues to raise important questions about the country's immigration system, citizenship laws, and public confidence in government institutions. We heard Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber insisting the department acted within the law, saying its intervention or investigations uncovered alleged identity fraud involving Adetshina's mother, and that the courts will ultimately decide the matter. At the same time, Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs considering concerns over an apparent perceived conflict of interest involving Immigration Advisory Board member and immigration attorney Stephanie De Saude Dabandi, who is also representing Adetshina in her legal challenge against the department. Craig Smith is immigration lawyer and immigration law expert who joins us now on the line. Good morning, Craig.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Firstly, where are we in terms of the case involving Chidimma in the Western Cape, or rather the Cape Town courts?
Well, that's a very good question. There are two lanes here. One is the citizenship matter. Remember, the mother, who's a Mozambican national, fraudulently obtained her South African citizenship, and through that, Ms. Chidimma then took her South African citizenship by birth. So there's that matter, which is before the High Court, where the minister revoked or deprived Ms. Chidimma of her South African citizenship, and hence Ms. Chidimma is taking that decision on review. And then the other aspect, which is almost collateral damage to the citizenship deprivation of Ms. Chidimma's citizenship, is she returned to South Africa by all accounts using her South African passport, and then attempted to remain in the country after having been declared a prohibited person under the Immigration Act, which deprives you of any status in the country because you're actually a persona non grata. So those are the two parts to Ms. Chidimma's case.
I want to manage the time because we've got the news headlines soon. I wouldn't want to lose sight of this issue surrounding immigration attorney Stephanie De Saude Dabandi. What is the issue there? Because she's also representing Chidimma in this case against the government, or at least in conflict with Home Affairs Department.
Well, I think that's actually quite unfortunate. Stephanie De Saude is an attorney, She practices in immigration law. She's been co-opted onto the Immigration Advisory Board, which is a statutory body under the Immigration Act, which is a diverse body made up of government officials and private practitioners. She made an application to become a member of the Immigration Advisory Board, and the Department of Home Affairs co-opted and agreed that she become a member. I don't believe there is any conflict of interest, because in as much as the Immigration Advisory Board is designed to brief or advise the minister on policy making and regulations, and at the end of the day, as a private lawyer, the fact that a client comes to her to seek legal assistance, I think this is part and parcel of a private lawyer's job to assist and conduct a mandate on behalf of the client. I don't think there's a conflict here, because the Immigration Advisory Board voluntarily co-opted her onto the body, and she's simply conducting her business. I don't believe there's a conflict of interest, and the portfolio committee needs to realize that you can be in private practice and at the same time assist and steer government in terms of policy.
All right. Just a final one with the limited time we have. I want to go back to the Chidima case. What precedent could this case possibly set in terms of the country's citizenship laws or immigration systems?
Well, it actually would be an unfortunate precedent, and in as much as I litigate a lot against the Department of Home Affairs, I think in this instance they are correct. Ms. Chidema has no right in terms of the South African Citizenship Act, and I know they're trying to attack it from a different angle. The fact of the matter is she's obtained citizenship through a mother through fraudulent means, and you can't benefit from unclean hands. So that's the reality. And second, by her coming in, when she was asked to leave or deported from South Africa, she then took Nigerian citizenship and represented Nigeria in the Miss Universe. So this is not a statelessness matter. So the precedent here, the point in this matter is that you should not benefit from unclean hands. And in this case, the minister is quite correct. And sadly, Ms. Chidema took the law into her own hands. And in this case, Home Affairs are actually correct for once.
All right, let's leave it there. Craig Smith, immigration lawyer and immigration law experts. You can benefit from unclean hands. And also, she does have a country. She is Nigerian. She's taken that citizenship. And so what is it that she's asking for? At least that matter being debated before the courts. It is 7:30. Time for the latest news headlines with Ann Musa.
Good morning. Thanks, Koketso. In the headlines, the former head of IDAC, Andrea Johnson, has told the Matlanga Commission that investigations into alleged Mbisa Hospital looting kingpin, Hangwani Maumela, does not fall within the unit's mandate. Judgment in the matter between the Democratic Alliance and the City of Tshwane Council has been reserved until Friday. The DA is challenging the Tshwane Council's decision to reinstate the municipality's Group Chief Financial Officer, Gareth Mnisi, and suspended City Manager Johan Metler. The KwaZulu-Natal Department of Transport has urged motorists in areas affected by snowfall to exercise extreme caution, warning that it does not want a repeat of the events of 2024. I'll have details on these and other stories at 8.
SAfm, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Well, some heavy traffic on the way to the airport this morning. If you're leaving Pretoria, there's been a crash on the R21 just around Pomona Road. Southbound, backlogging from the Benoni exit. Northbound, a little bit slow getting through that area as well. But the big queue is airport bound this morning on that R21 South. Roadworks at Galulis on the N3, link off the N12 and R24 East. So those routes coming in from Ekurhuleni side, N12, R24 westbound onto the flyover to get onto the N3 up towards Edenvale is very, very slow. Also a breakdown in that mix mix as well. Coming through mid-round, the earlier crash at Buccleuch is being cleared. Not a bad run through mid-round for a Thursday. In fact, not a bad run down through Pretoria. The big queue really is the N4 coming through from Durban Port Plaza. Roadworks as you link onto the M1 South. That's heavy this morning. That M4 East to get into the N1. You might want to just bypass that one. Durban, M7 up into St John's Avenue going in from Hunsdetman, very slow. Durban not having a bad run. Again, Spaghetti Junction, Umgena Road looks half decent for this time of morning. Cape Town, a lot of pressure on the highways. The N1 from Plattercliff through to Kubo, get a change. N2 from the N7, Jakes Covale through to Mowbray Main is busy. And the M3 sitting this morning from Constantia right through to Paradise Road in Bishop's Court. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
We continue to celebrate Chad Leclos. Let's see, I got his name wrong. I didn't, does he swim? Yes, he does. He's doing well. Well done, Chad. We thank you.
Yes, we thank you, Chad. We are celebrating Chad Leclos. And what a celebration it's been, Koketso, because history looks good in green and gold, let me tell you, and he is rewriting the history books, as well as the South African swimmers who've ended a sensational Commonwealth Games campaign, with Peter Coetzee smashing the games record to win 100 meters, the backstroke gold, while Chad Leclos became the most decorated athlete in Commonwealth Games history with a record 21st medal. Team South Africa wrapped up the swimming program with 6 more medals and now sits 7th on the overall table with 22 medals. On to soccer, despite a major squad overhaul ahead of the 2026-27 season, Siwelele FC head coach Leshlano Losiema believes his side could emerge stronger in the Betway Premiership. Now, Siwelele's task was to retain their top flight status following a transition period, having purchased the SuperSport United franchise. Now in their second season after that process, Zema believes they are more stable.
The guys that have left, I can tell you that they are replaced, but you see, you did not replace them with your big hitters again. But I can tell you that come end of the season, I'll be losing more players again, because the guys that we have, we are recruiting very well, and we are a team now that wants to say we're not going to sell our players. We want to make sure that at least now, come next season, we can keep our best players, and then we can start challenging for honours.
Let's go to soccer action last night at the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. Ghana, they made the perfect start with a 2-0 victory over the tournament debutants Cape Verde in Group D. Cameroon boosted their Women's Africa Cup of Nations campaign with a hard-fought 2-1 victory over Mali in Group D. The indomitable Lionesses claimed all 3 points, strengthening their hopes of reaching the knockout stages. And finally, rugby. The Springbok Sevens will begin the defence of their Cape Sevens title on the 5th and 6th of December 2027 at DHL Stadium after winning both the 2026 World Series and the World Championships. The Blitzboks will be chasing a third successive home title. World Rugby also confirmed that the 2027 circuit will retain the same 6 host cities, with Olympic qualification for Los Angeles 2028 adding extra significance to the season. That's your sport on the National Briefing. We'll tackle more at the top of the hour. I'm Zai Khan.
The Market Brief with Ndawleng Lechela on SAFM.
The latest from Ndawleng. Always a pleasure. Good morning to you once again. PPC raising concerns around delays in infrastructure, and also some good news for Valterra Platinum. Good morning.
Morning, Koketso. Now, speaking at its annual general meeting, PPC said slow infrastructure rollout across Southern Africa continues to weigh on the construction sector, despite governments prioritizing investment in roads, energy, water, and housing. Now, the cement producer says delayed project implementation, subdued building activity, and rising transport and energy costs are keeping demand under pressure. While turnaround efforts helped lift earnings in South Africa and Botswana, With Zimbabwe delivering record profits, the group says a broader recovery will depend on faster infrastructure delivery. Now, PPC also warned that imported cement continues to undermine local manufacturers, adding pressure to an already challenging operating environment. Over to the mining sector, Valterra Platinum investors are smiling all the way to the bank. The platinum miner has declared a bumper interim dividend of 57 Rand a share, well above its usual payout policy after surging platinum prices and stronger production fueled a fourfold jump in earnings. Revenue almost doubled to close to 82 billion rands, while headline earnings per share climbed just above 82 rand from 4 rand 73 a year ago. Company CEO Craig Miller says the results reflect strong operational execution and the benefits of operating independently following its spin-off from Anglo American. The miner is confident in its future prospects and so has maintained its full-year production, cost, and capital expenditure guidance. Now, zooming in on market action, Asian shares are trading mixed this morning as investors continue to digest the Fed's decision to leave interest rates unchanged, while also looking ahead to the Bank of Japan's policy decision tomorrow. U.S. futures in the meantime are pointing to a softer open, with investors weighing a mixed batch of corporate earnings and lingering geopolitical tensions, which have pushed oil back above $90 a barrel. Now, that cautious tone is expected to filter through to the JSE at the open at 9 a.m., despite the local market outperforming in the previous session. Lastly, tracking currency markets, movements in the rand muted this hour, trading at 16.66 to the greenback, 22.25 to the pound, and 19.08 to the euro. And that's where I leave things with you. Catch you back bright and early tomorrow morning.
Unleash your inner chef with Spar. Get up to 80% off on NutriFresh kitchen essentials when you buy products like 2-liter Coca-Cola regular only. Buy 2 for 45, save 15 Rand. Or 80-gram Cadbury chocolate slabs, excluding bubbly. Any 2 for 36, save 14 Rand. Price is valid from 22 July till 10 August, while stocks last. Only at Spar. T's and C's apply.
With the price of everything going up, a drop in your car insurance premium is just what you need to have extra money in your pocket. Switch to Outsurance and you could save big, like 54-year-old Yako, who saves an amazing 282 Rand a month on his 2025 Suzuki Swift. Don't pay more than you need to. Get an Outsurance quote to switch and save today. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Outsurance, license, insurer, and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
Reality check on the National Briefing.
It is that moment for our reality check. Remember, at its core, this moment exists to do something that daily news cycles rarely allow, to pause, to reflect, and to think seriously about the state of the country. Not just what is happening, but why it is happening. Our aim in this segment is simple: to deepen the national conversation, to challenge assumptions and sharpen our thinking, and to ask what practical steps are needed to build the South Africa that we want. The next guest is a prominent South African pharmaceutical executive with over 3 decades of industry experience. He's globally recognized for pioneering affordable access to healthcare and for spearheading local vaccine and pharmaceutical manufacturing across the African continent. This week, he wants to go beyond the headlines to reflect on the following question: building an accessible, equitable, resilient, and sustainable healthcare system through the lens of the pharmaceutical industry. To expand on his reflection on precision medicine access and how also we deal with the illicit trade, we're joined by the Group Senior Executive at Aspen Pharma, Stavros Nikolai. Always a pleasure, Stavros. Good morning. Stavros, good morning. I'm not too sure what is happening. We have some challenges there, and hopefully we're able to connect with Stavros Nicolaou, Group Senior Executive at Aspen Pharma. This in our reality check moment, the moment where we go beyond the headlines, we reflect on the South Africa that we want. Maybe you have your own thoughts as we speak to the question of building an accessible, equitable, resilient, and sustainable healthcare system. Give us a call, or rather send us your WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107. I would also like to remind you and invite you on the other side of 8, where we'll be speaking to the South African Municipal Workers Union to get their take on Treasury's decision to pay the funds to municipalities. You would remember that decision that Treasury had taken initially to withhold those funds. That decision has been reversed. What does SAMU have to say? We go back to that reality check, and we got a reality check when it comes to technology, but we've reconnected with Stavros Nicolaou. Thank you very much for your time this morning, Stavros. Good morning.
Koteko, good morning, and good morning to all the listeners, and very much looking forward to this 4th installment of this week's reality check.
We are listening closely as you reflect on this question, building an accessible, equitable, resilient, and sustainable healthcare system. Please give us your thoughts.
I want to pick up on 2 aspects this morning, and of course, as I've mentioned throughout the week, we're building up to a 7-point plan, which I'll disclose tomorrow, and which speaks exactly to the theme of building a resilient, sustainable, equitable healthcare system in our country. Now, the 2 aspects I want to cover today are, firstly, what we call precision medicines and access to these precision medicines. And the second aspect, I'm going to cover a little about a scourge that is manifesting in our society, in our communities, and it is that of illicit trade in medicines. So both of these have a material bearing on the future of the healthcare system, and I think worth interrogating in a little more detail. So let me start firstly with, what are these precision medicines? What are these? We often call them customized or bespoke medicines. I spoke on Monday and Tuesday about non-communicable diseases, diabetes, strokes, cancer, heart attacks, etc. Now, a lot of the new medicines that are coming onto the market are bespoke medicines in that they are specific to a particular patient according to the biomarkers of that patient. So we are seeing a lot of this in cancer, for example. So you can have a patient with lung cancer, or let's say you have 5 different patients with lung cancer, and each one of them could have a different biomarker. That means you have to customize your therapy. They call it immunotherapy, and I'll explain in a minute what that is. You customize your immunotherapy to that particular patient's biomarker. So patient 1 could have a different biomarker to patient 2, and so on and so forth. So this is what we are calling precision medicines, because they're very targeted according to the biomarker specificity of that patient. Now, because these are biologic medicines in the main, biologic medicines are naturally more expensive to produce. They're different to the conventional tablets, capsules that patients have swallowed over the years. Those are called synthetic medicines. So there's been an evolution from synthetic to now these precision immunotherapies. I spoke about what is an immunotherapy. An immunotherapy is simply something that stimulates your immune system so that your immune system is strengthened and can attack a foreign bacteria, virus, or even a cancer cell that is being destructive to the body. It does so in a targeted way. It works differently to chemotherapy. Now, I'm saying that these are biologic medicines. They are more expensive to produce than synthetic medicines. but they have significant healthcare outcomes and certainly improve healthcare outcomes. Now, how do we make these medicines more accessible to the public? Because I think um, generally medicines are very accessible in our country. There's if you take an average patient for chronic medicine, you can buy your chronic medicines for under 100 Rand. But this particular group of medicines, the biologics, are less accessible at this point in time to the general public, but yet they offer significant benefits. So how do we solve this problem? As a pharmaceutical industry, we are presently seized in discussions with the National Department of Health in order to allow some flexibility around the pricing regimen of these biologic products. The pricing protocols in the private sector at this point in time do not permit any level of pricing flexibility, and there is a scope and certainly a discussion to be held, a very important one, to allow these flexibilities to come into the pricing system so that we can make these products more accessible. If we make them more accessible, it means that the volumes consumed in the country will also increase, and that increase in volume lends itself to economies of scale and can open up access into the public sector, which currently doesn't enjoy any of these molecules that I've spoken about. So that was the first part I wanted to cover, is the issue around precision medicines and how do we make them more accessible to the public. And we certainly need to confront that challenge, and we are speaking to the health department, as I said, and we are hopeful for a positive outcome in the near future. Now, let me cover, secondly, another area that has potential to affect both the pharmaceutical sector, but also more broadly, our healthcare system. On Monday and Tuesday, when I discussed diabetes, particularly type 2 diabetes, there was a common nexus very often with diabetes, particularly type 2 diabetes, as I said earlier, and that is the rate of obesity in our country. So we are seeing a new class of drugs now called GLP-1 drugs. I'm not going to go into the full acronym. It gets very complicated, but suffice to say, these GLP-1 drugs are demonstrating both significant glycemic control, so control of patients' diabetes, but patients are also losing anything between 15 to 22% of their body mass, their weight. So reduction in weight has significant clinical benefits to patients, reduction of cardiovascular or heart disease, reduction in strokes, reduction in chronic kidney disease, and many, many other benefits. So there has been, it would be fair to say, an explosion of interest in this area of GLP-1 medicines. However, it has also opened up, regrettably, a grey market. And that grey market means that unregistered, opportunistic, I can only call them traders in illicit medicines, are illegally importing and selling unregistered medicines, particularly these weight loss medicines and a few others, medicines for erectile dysfunction and other types of lifestyle drugs. They are importing them unlawfully. Very often these are unregistered medicines or medicines that are still in experimental stage. These are found very often in gyms, in hair salons, in beauty salons, all facilities that have untrained, unskilled medical expertise. This is posing a significant health risk to the population, and we have certainly seen patients being admitted to ICU facilities through the use of illicit medicines. How do we solve this? We solve it in two ways. The first is education is the most important way. Health literacy is the most important way.
Mm-hmm.
The public needs to become aware. And that's why I'm so grateful for your program today, Koketso, because it provides an opportunity again to educate the public around illicit medicines and illicit drug trade in our country. So any patient that is receiving either diabetes control, erectile dysfunction medicines, other lifestyle medicines, weight loss medicines, etc., please make certain that you are taking or buying a registered medicine whose quality, safety, and efficacy has been proven, and that you buy these medicines from registered healthcare professionals, i.e., a pharmacist or a doctor.
Right.
Please don't buy these medicines from your hairstylist or your beauty therapist. They have no training in this area, and it poses a significant risk to the population. The second and final point I'm going to make around how we control this is SAHPRA, the South African Health Products Regulatory Agency, and the South African Pharmacy Council are the bodies, amongst others, there's SARS and BMA and others that need to be involved, that have responsibility to enforce the law in this regard. But this problem is becoming so large that it requires South African Police Services, SAPS, to become involved. And there are discussions right now going on with SAPS and these agencies so that we can better enforce the law, reduce harm to patients and the general public, and bring this illicit drug problem under control. So the final appeal, as I conclude, to the public is buy your medicines from registered outlets and from healthcare professionals. Doctors study for 6 years, 8 years if you take the internship, pharmacists for 5 years. They do so for a good reason, so that they can protect you and ensure you have quality, safety, and efficacious medicine.
Right.
And to those who are selling illicit medicines, please desist from doing that, because I think legal enforcement is around the corner. Thanks very much.
We appreciate you as always, Stavros Nikolaos, Group Senior Executive at SAFmRadio Group. It is the reality check on the morning or on the national briefing on SAFM.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Heavy backlogs on Pretoria's N4, the Equator Highway going through Durapur Plaza down towards the M1. It's some overnight roadworks on that link from the N4 to the M1 that's causing that delay. If you want to come through Durapur Plaza, turn on the M1 towards Montana. There's a really big queue to work through there. Crash on the R21 south towards the airport. Big backlogs there. Delays back through the Benoni exit. That crash down by Pomona Road. The rest of Joburg looking fairly normal. There is a crash, however, on the N12 and R24 routes coming into Galuli's interchange. Stay slow. Durban, a bit busier now than when we last spoke on that N2 from the M7 moving up through Westwood Mall. Big backlog of traffic on the N2 North, a breakdown before Gateway this morning, causing that delay. That's back past the Kwamashu exit at this stage. M7 into Pinetown looking very slow. Ashburton, Pietermaritzburg checking fine on that section. Cape Town, if you're driving into Stellenbosch, R44 North, R304 South, very heavy backlogs this morning into that central Stellenbosch area. The N2 inbound from Langa through to Hospital Bend is busy, and the main road all clogged up as you make your way slowly from Muizenberg through St James in towards Cork Bay. Also crash on Rhodes Drive just north of Constantia Neck, causing some delays towards the Newlands area. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
Call SAFM now on 086 000 2032.
A few minutes before we get to the latest news at 8 with Ann Musa going to your calls. Let's go to Richards Bay first. Simpiwe, good morning.
Morning, Geketso and the fellow listeners.
Yes,
A quick one, Geketso. I was listening to your guest on BEE with interest, and I couldn't ask myself one but important question. Who monitors government's compliance or the state agents' compliance with these BEE regulations? Because in my years of experience with local government, I have observed that most municipalities, I might be wrong, have not been verified, including government agencies. But they are the one who seems to be demanding this BEE verification certificate from the private sector. Yet they themselves do not have this BE verification certificates. They have not been verified. So I think I would appreciate if one day you could invite National Treasury to talk at length about the verification and the compliance of government agencies with the triple BE regulations, because it's not about the certificate. At the end of the day, it's about the measurement of the policies that government has.
Sure.
So that then we can see equal distribution of the resources using the state purse, because that's our only carrot and stick approach that we can use to compel the private sector to transform at length. But if the government itself is not compliant with these certificates, with the BE regulations, they've never been verified, what gives them the right then to enforce that to the private sector?
Simpiwe in Richards Bay. One could argue that when it comes to tenders and contracts that they do sign that requirement of BEE compliance, but we do understand your question. David in Pietermaritzburg. Good morning, David.
Thank you for taking my call. But based on the scrutiny conducted by Madlanga, it's clear that charges laid against Masemula, Brigadier Mokwele and others, there was an ulterior motive and they are frivolous. So, which will lead to litigation because their image and character have been tarnished. So the advice to government is not to allow the former director, Johnson, and others to have access to their pension, because whatever compensation that will be sourced by the victims must be paid through their pensions. It mustn't involve taxpayers. Secondly, I wonder as to what is the DA saying now, since they were the first to call for the suspension of Masemola. Now that is clear that the charges are frivolous based on the probe that was conducted by Umandlanga yesterday, specifically on the PFMA matter. It's clear that he was not supposed to be charged because there was no reluctance on his side when he was advised that he must suspend the 300 and something tender. Thank you.
All right. David in Pietermaritzburg. Unfortunately, Crispin, we're not going to have time unless you keep it very, very short. Crispin in Durban.
Yes, the anniversary of Albert Lutulus' funeral, which I attended in 1967. Just a reminder that we had fantastic ethical leaders. Also that he was born in Zimbabwe because of the close links between Ndebele people and Zulu people. Thank you.
All right. Crispin, thank you very much. A quick one, just going back to that earlier call. The expectation, and I get it, people are upset, and if you have, or on the back of what we heard from Andrea Johnson and the need for consequences and repercussions, the idea of grab her pension and then pay it to those who have been wronged. When it comes to labor laws, it really does not work like that. If anything, her having resigned, and I remember what the Justice Minister had to say following her resignation, or in and around the time of Andrea Johnson's resignation, saying because she's no longer a member, there's nothing we can do when it comes to labor laws, and you can't violate labor laws in seeking punishment. So the idea of taking away her pension is just not going to happen. It's 8 o'clock, time for the latest news with Ann Musa.
Outsurance is in the business of saving you money on your car insurance premium. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754.
In our top stories, Johnson defends IDAC's decision not to investigate Maumela, and KZN Transport issues a snow alert. Good morning. The former head of IDAC, Advocate Andrea Johnson, has told the Madlanga Commission that investigations into alleged Tembisa Hospital looting kingpin, Hangwani Maumela, does not fall within the unit's mandate. Advocate Johnson was responding to questions about why IDAC appeared to be pursuing attempted murder accused Vuzimuzi Matlala while not investigating Maumela. She told the Commission that the Tembisa Hospital investigation, including all implicated individuals and entities, falls within the mandate of the Hawks.
The Tembisa Hospital matter, in all of its forms, in however many legs of investigation it has, whomever the persons and entities of interest are, had been referred around about 2020 or thereabouts by the SIU to the DPCI. The DPCI has always been vested with this matter. The Tembisa Hospital, whether it's Skinny Jeans, whoever they are, who's behind the scenes, whether Maumela is involved or not, etc. All of it lies within the ambit of the DPCI.
The Defence Counsel for alleged underworld crime boss Jerome Boyson has questioned the credibility of the medical state of a witness currently on the stand at the Western Cape High Court. This follows the postponement of the matter due to the witness calling in sick. A captain in the Hawks has been under cross-examination by Boyson's attorney, Advocate Amanda Nell. The witness cannot be identified. Amahle de Twait reports.
Now argued that Boyson is being prejudiced in terms of finances due to the witness delaying the matter. She has submitted that her cross-examination is being hampered by the witness, stating that her situation seems to worsen during tough cross-examination. The defense counsel of the other accused told the court that their clients and the defense are being prejudiced by the delays. The state has, however, disputed the claims of the defense, arguing that there is nothing that suggests that the witness is not competent to testify. The case has been postponed until the 11th of next month.
Judgment has been reserved until Friday in the DA's court challenge against the City of Tshwane Council. The DA is seeking to overturn the council's decision to reinstate Group Chief Financial Officer Gareth Mnisi and suspended City Manager Johan Metler. During proceedings in the Pretoria High Court, counsel for the Speaker of the City of Tshwane argued that the DA's case is based on fear rather than facts. The court also heard that there is no proof of the acting city manager, Musa Kumalo, being unable to carry out his responsibilities. The KwaZulu-Natal Department of Transport has urged motorists to exercise extreme caution in areas affected by snowfall, warning against the repeat of the 2024 severe disruptions. More than 1,800 vehicles were stranded on the N3 near Van Riemen's Pass after heavy snowfall blocked the route. Snow has been confirmed on the R617. The department is advising motorists to avoid unnecessary travel and to follow official updates. Department spokesperson Ndabezinhle Sibiya.
If there is any snowfall, we do not want snow chasers to move up and down. As you recall that in September 2024, we experienced for the very first time snowfall which was above 30 centimeters, and there was a congestion. People were stuck along the freeway. So we are appealing to the people of KwaZulu-Natal and the whole country to exercise caution. We do not want to see them getting stuck.
And finally, the U.S. military says it has carried out a fresh wave of strikes against Iran in response to recent attempted Iranian attacks on U.S. forces. The U.S. Central Command says dozens of Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps targets have been hit. The BBC's Tom Bailey has the details.
US Central Command said dozens of Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps targets had been hit early on Thursday. Iranian media reported that the islands of Keshem and Abadan were among the areas hit. Both are centres of the oil industry. Iran had earlier confirmed that it had targeted US assets in Jordan as well as ships in the Strait of Hormuz on Wednesday. The latest flare-up in exchanges began earlier this week, though negotiations to secure a longer-term truce are said to be continuing.
Recapping the top story, the former head of IDAC, Advocate Andrea Johnson, has told the Madlanga Commission that investigations into alleged Tembisa Hospital looting kingpin Hangwani Maumela does not fall within the unit's mandate. For SAfm News, I am Anne Musa.
OutSurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754.
The electricity price increases may have dropped a bombshell on your budget, but switch to OutSurance and you could drop your car insurance premiums immediately. You could save big by, just like 48-year-old Sylvia, who saves a mind-blowing 802 Rand a month on her 2019 BMW X1. Why pay more when you could pay so much less and save? Get a quote to switch to OutSurance today. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. OutSurance, licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
It's a very good morning to you. In your SAfm Sports Headlines, soccer, Orlando Pirates coach, Abdussalam Wadu, plans to carefully manage his Bafana Stars this season, and Chad Leclerc writes another chapter in South Africa's sporting history. We'll have details around 8:30.
SAfm, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. We start east of Joburg in the Ekurhuleni region with a crash on the R21 at Pomona Road. If you're leaving Pretoria en route to the airport, quite a heavy backlog to work through there. The Midrand section this morning has now another crash. We had one at Buccleuch which backed everything up. We've now got another one at just southbound coming into New Road. So traffic behind that starting to park back quite heavily towards Samrad Road. N1 South is slow, making your way from Montana down to Storenville Road. The N4 Bakwena Highway, this is the Rustenburg Highway coming through Durbanpur Plaza. Roadworks on the ramp to the M1 South. That's a very heavy run. You might want to stay off that N4 this morning into Durbanpur Plaza. It is badly backed up. Durban side, a breakdown before you get to Mshlanga, before the gateway exit. That's a heavy queue running up from Queen Nandi Drive. Those roadworks on the M19 still there at Reservoir Hill, slow you up through a single lane section. Cape Town, plenty of traffic inbound from the south. The M3 is heavy from Constantia right through the hospital bed. A crash on Rhodes Drive between Clarsons Road and Constantia next, so that's quite slow both ways. And if you're coming in on Route 1 this morning from Plattercliff down to Kuba, get a change, looking fairly busy. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
The National Briefing on SAfm. Clarity, context, and conversation. The National Briefing on SAfm. Weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
9 minutes past 8, we're in the third and final hour of the national briefing. I actually can't believe how quickly it all moves. There is so much on the table. And then also I need to manage the fact that there are cameras. I'm not used to these things. Streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, as well as on X. I have to constantly look at these cameras and fix myself and behave myself, unlike what I normally do in the evening. So thanks a lot to the national briefing team. What to expect in this hour. In the next few minutes, we'll connect with the South African Municipal Workers Union. You would remember the back and forth around Treasury's withholding of the equitable shares from poor performing municipalities. There was that uproar when that decision was taken. It has since been reversed, and some were saying the damage has been done. We'll be in conversation with Dumsani Makakula, who is the SAMU Secretary General. And then also, before we wrap up the national briefing this morning, in our segment Built in Mzansi, we'll be speaking to Dr. Saeed Parker of the HSRC on a very important discussion on research and development, speaking to us about why science engagement is no longer a nice to have but a national imperative. It is a national briefing on SAfm. Koketso in for Kathy Motlatlana this morning.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. Easy to apply, no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS SAFM to 48031. That's 48031. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
This Sunday evening at 7 on the Tastemaster Professional, our chefs take a road trip to the beautiful Elgin Valley to celebrate fresh seasonal produce. It's all about cooking on fire. And with elimination on the cards, they'll have to bring the heat if they want to stay in the competition. Who will make it through to the next round? Find out on the Tastemaster Professional. Sunday at 7, repeat Saturday at 4:30 and Sunday at 3:30 only on SABC2.
Municipal Watch, bringing your local issues on the national agenda. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
I'd like to encourage you to be part of this conversation. 086-000-2032 or send us your WhatsApp voice notes on 0614-104-107. Municipal Workers Union SAMU says that National Treasury's recent reversal of withholding equitable shares from poor performing municipalities comes after extensive damage has already been done, leaving many municipalities unable to pay workers' salaries in July. You would remember that Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana's announcement that 7.1 billion rand withheld from 49 municipalities early this month will be paid to them by tomorrow. SAMU says that while Treasury has reversed its decision, as a union, they simply cannot move on as though nothing has happened. Dumsani Makakula is the SAMU General Secretary who joins us now on the line. Thank you very much for your time, Dumsani. Good morning.
Good morning, Kokezo, and good morning to the listeners.
Just a point of clarity up front. Treasury is saying, yes, there was going to be that withholding of the equitable share. That is not the case. It will be paid tomorrow. You, as SAMU, is saying it's a little bit too late. Explain to us how processes work where when it comes to salaries being paid to workers.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, in everything that the minister said, he was short of saying, I was wrong. I gave a wrong answer to the question that is troubling South Africans and troubling citizens who are not getting services. I was wrong. I shouldn't have punished municipal workers, and I shouldn't have sabotaged service delivery, because none of what he has raised in many municipalities, it has not happened. And he now takes this decision without admitting that his solution is wrong. And where we want to start is we want to call on leadership of SAMU everywhere and shop stewards to guard what municipalities are going to do with this money. I bet you they will receive this money by 12 o'clock. They are going to pay their own service providers and their own tenders. It's not even going to go to municipal workers. Why? Because the actual problem is not resolved. The actual problem is going to be resolved when there is consequence management, when there are engineers employed in municipalities. It's going to be resolved when they stop tenderizing the services that should go to the public.
Of course, we'll watch that very closely, but I want to just stay very quickly, if I could, Dumsani, with the question of when and if workers will be paid. Ordinarily, when are your members paid?
Ordinarily, members are paid between the 20th of the month up to the 31st of the month. And workers are now sitting with arrears, which when these salaries are paid, they're not going to reimburse them for the arrears that they are going to be charged for late payment of the installments. And communities have also been sitting without service delivery. What happens is when this money is not released, municipal workers go to work and they just sit because there is no diesel. There are no equipment. They are not able to provide services. Who's
that
going
point,
to deal with this backlog?
On that point, Dumzani, and
Yes.
also speaking to yourselves is part of a much broader conversation around the state of municipalities and also the role or responsibility that a union such as yourself holds municipalities to account. Just last night, having a conversation around the state of municipalities, particularly centering on the state of affairs when it comes to finances. An example of what's happening in Johannesburg, which I know is very much an indicator of what's happening around the country. Money being moved between entities, and then not having enough resources, for example, to service communication equipment that is needed to deploy workers to where there are some challenges. You mentioned diesel. It seems as if there is a collective or quite a number of issues in municipalities that impact on service delivery, that also make workers' lives difficult. As a union, what have you done? What steps have you taken in holding municipalities to account, particularly in dealing with issues of how finances are managed and in turn how that destroys or improves the state of these municipalities?
As a worker in any sector, not only municipality, when there are matters of mismanagement and obvious corruption, we blow the whistle. Unfortunately, when we do that, we are also not protected, but we are not relenting. Municipal workers are raising these matters every day. We have requested, particularly in July this year, we have said this must come to where we are able to deal with this thing in a meeting where COCTA sits, where Treasury sits, where DWS sits, because we also organize in water services, and where SARGA sits in one meeting with the union, and we raise these matters directly with them. However, we have blown the whistle. We have a number of cases where municipal managers were removed because we raised these issues, where directors, corporate services, CFOs have been removed from municipalities because of the effort that was done by municipal workers, concerted effort through the organizing union in local government, which is SAMU. So we do raise these things. Unfortunately, they will not all go to the public, but we do raise them. But what we have said is, let's have one meeting with all these ministers so that we come out with one single approach that protects workers but at the same time deals with the corruption.
Do you not have enough of a voice? And I, of course, in noting and acknowledging what you're saying, Tumsani, about how you do blow the whistle, one wonders whether it's at a neck level or even, with some of the partner organizations and political parties and within labor federations, why does it seem as if, as much as you are one of the largest unions, municipal workers' unions in the country, you do not have enough of a voice to be heard?
We do have a voice. The voice is ignored. We raise these matters even through NETLEC. We have been able to say to the Auditor General, where you find that there was corruption, mismanagement in a municipality, the particular managers who are responsible should be charged directly from the work that is done by the Auditor General. That is now in place. Unfortunately, we cannot show you what AG has done in terms of implementing that. They can speak for themselves and raise their own issues in terms of why they have not implemented, or where they have and we have not seen it. They should be able to tell us. But these are the things that we raise through NETLEC. However, our work as a union is multi-pronged. We have mass mobilization where we march and we raise these issues. We have matters of legality where we go and we approach courts where there is corruption and mismanagement. But we also have political intervention, which is what we are seeking now as a starting point in this new phase, where we are saying, as we go to local government elections, can we have these matters addressed so that when we go into the new leadership in local government, these matters are put to book.
While noting that we do have these challenges, and also, of course, as you mentioned, you do blow the whistle. There are a number of issues that one can highlight in terms of what's facing workers at a municipal level. What responsibility do workers take when it comes to certain areas within the municipality that are problematic? And I raise this, Dumsani, you would know whether we're talking about city of Cape Town, Johannesburg, Tshwane, where there's been us as residents complaining around the level of service on the part of workers, and even cases where some of your members have been labeled as being lazy and not moving fast enough in attending to issues on the ground.
As a union, we have been intentional because these matters were raised that municipal workers are not assisting. We have been intentional. We have gone out. What we found, and we published the statement, is that municipal workers are doing their best. They cannot be blamed for mismanagement because workers work under instruction. However, they have also been innovative. You know, in Maluti, Apofum, particularly in Kirsten, what we found is that municipal workers bring brooms from their own homes. They bring them to work so that they can go and sweep the streets. Workers came together to put money together to buy diesel so that the truck can go out and collect waste. These are the efforts that municipal workers have done, because before they become workers of the municipality, they are members of the community themselves, and they are taking responsibility daily and sacrificing. This is the same sacrifice that they also made during COVID-19, when everyone else was working from home and they were still collecting refuse and dealing with all other areas of service delivery, like electricity distribution and so on. So municipal workers are doing their best. However, we cannot blame them for mismanagement.
We're in conversation with Dumsani Makakula, who is the SAMU General Secretary. We take your calls 086 000 2032. Hitler in Boshoff. Good morning, Hitler.
Good morning, so and good morning to your guest. Okay, so I'm going to open myself to all personal salvos from SAMU and from everybody else. I don't care if they can intimidate me. You know why municipalities not generating revenue? It's because of SAMU senior members within the municipalities. You know, when the sites are being sold, maybe there is a proclamation that sites are going to be sold. They are the first who are even in the municipalities to say that I'm going to buy so many sites, and then after that I'll rent them out to other people, like for instance, nurses who have just graduated and teachers who have just graduated and got work. Then after that, they SAMU members, they take rent from those people, and after that, they don't pay the services to the municipality. That's why the municipalities are failing. I'm going to open I don't care what they say about me. I'm also renting in Bloemfontein. It's exactly what's happening. But I'm working for the state. But the person who I'm paying rent to is not paying the municipality. That's why municipalities are failing. Quite honestly, with respect, I don't care. You can go to each and every municipality. Some members, the technical directors, the corporate directors, they've got sites. They are getting money, rent from their team.
Hitler,
but they don't pay the municipality.
Quickly, let me understand. So you are renting from somebody who's not paying the municipalities, and to make sure that I understand you correctly, the property that you're staying on, or
across the board.
Let me ask, the property that you are staying on, was it acquired by a SAMU member who, as you allege, has got proximity within the municipality?
In the first place, it was first acquired by a SAMU member, and then that particular person went to the town and to these upmarket suburbs and got those fleshy houses and then he sold it to another person. It's happening across the municipality. You can ask each and every person.
Okay.
Especially we civil servants, we are paying huge amounts of rent to these landlords, and they don't pay. They contribute nothing. You will just see them. You can go into each and every municipality office.
That Hitler, no, we got you. Thank you very much, Hitler there in Boshop. Dumsani, I mean, there's two issues there. There is, the lack of payments to municipalities, but also allegations there of SAMU members, because of their proximity to a municipality, having access to available land and in turn making money on it.
Yeah, first of all, we're very sorry for what the member of the community is experiencing. When we raised the issue of the management of municipalities, we said, and we want to repeat, municipalities must collect revenue, and they must use every form of power that they have to make sure that they collect revenue. That landlord who is not paying revenue, the municipality knows what to do, and they must make sure that they collect revenue from those particular people, as much as I don't have any evidence. Number two, to take it further, the Municipal Finance Management Act does not allow municipal workers to owe the municipality. A number of municipalities are taking the rates and taxes of municipal workers directly from their salaries. They implement a stop order, even to an extent that if you are a municipal worker and your mother is not paying the rates and taxes, even if you don't stay with them, the municipalities are implementing a stop order on municipal workers, and that includes the members of SAMU and shop stewards of SAMU. So this is something which is just a lack of management. It could be part of corruption, but we are saying at SAMU, we don't protect anyone who doesn't pay the rate and taxes, and at the end of the month expect that they receive a full salary.
All right, we appreciate your time this morning. That's Dumsani Makakula, who is the SAMU General Secretary. Before we get to the latest news headlines, here's two quick voice notes connected to this discussion.
Kokezo, I'm listening to your guy who's talking about service delivery, as if there was service here in South Africa. We never had any service delivery. It's sewerage all over South Africa. So you must not come and play a better card on the radio and want to fool South Africans. We are not stupid. There is no service delivery in South Africa. Period. Go and vote for nonsense.
SAMU should also look at the salary of their members. The money that is spent by municipalities on allowances, more especially travel allowances, it's a lot. Because there are some instances in some municipalities where people were raking in double the amount of their salary on travel allowances and overtimes.
Thank you very much for those voice notes. We'll get to more of them before we wrap up the national briefing for this morning. It is 8:30.
Good morning. Thanks, Koketso. In the headlines, the former head of IDAC, Advocate Andrea Johnson, has told the Madlanga Commission that investigations into alleged Mbisa Hospital looting kingpin, Hangwani Maumela, does not fall within the unit's mandate. Family, friends and the sports fraternity are expected to gather in the Eastern Cape for the memorial service of South African rugby under-18 player Luqobo Makwedini today. And cities across Ukraine have come under Russian attack hours after President Volodymyr Zelensky warned that Moscow would be targeting his people. One person has been killed in the capital, Kyiv. I'll have details on these and other stories at 9.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Morning. One of our top stories earlier was some big delays on Pretoria's N4 Bakwena Highway moving through Doornpoort Plaza. Those roadworks have been lifted and that traffic is improving very, very quickly. Mighty Mopoli Highway down to SKM Pathleli is heavy. Could well be traffic lights out of that junction this morning. The Mike 1 south from Buccleuch to Marlborough Drive slow. Northbound from Caller Drive. Heading up to Greyston a little bit tight on your way towards Santon. And the N12 and R24 routes in from Ekurhuleni have a breakdown just before Geluli's interchange, causing delays. Durban a breakdown, N2 running north at Gateway, that traffic really heavy, queues almost back as far as Queen Nandi Drive. Spaghetti Junction, Umgeta Road section got a little bit slow earlier this morning, but it's cleared up nicely, it's looking okay. Pietermaritzburg, Ashburton also checking out okay. Cape Town a big crash on Mike Pinar north at 4 Trekker Road, watch for some delays there. The M1 inbound from Plattercliff towards City Centre is busy. The southern suburbs really slow going, particularly the M3 inbound, Weinberg Hill right through to Hospital Bend, but it's sort of the local routes through Rondebosch Road or Rondebosch area, Campground Road, Palmyra Road, Belmont Road, Milner, Cromboom, all of those routes really busy this morning. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
So, Zai, while Pirates fans are managing the cost of the new strip, the Orlando Pirates coach saying he's going to manage the Bafana Stars in his team.
Did you just say what you said? Okay. I can tell you that, yes, Koketso, the sports scientists, might be the busiest people at Pirates right now. And yeah, the coach does seem to have a nice problem. The squad may be up for it. It's going to be a busy season for Orlando Pirates, and the coach Abdusalam Wadu knows he has to carefully manage his Bafana internationals, and that's going to be key to the Buccaneers' hopes of challenging on every front this season. Pirates could play close to 60 matches across 5 competitions, with several players only recently returning from that FIFA World Cup duty. Wadu says balancing performance with player welfare will be crucial, adding that the club's sports science and medical teams are going to play a vital role in keeping his squad fresh throughout this demanding campaign. Elsewhere, FIFA has opened disciplinary proceedings against several Argentina players and assistant coach Roberto Ayala following incidents during and after the World Cup final defeat to Spain. Nahuel Molina, Leandro Paredes, Thiago Almada and the Spain midfielder Gavi are amongst those facing charges with alleged assault offences carrying a minimum 3-match suspension if proven. We've also got news from South Africa's long-distance star, Kabelo Mr. Podium Molotsi. He is targeting a historic victory when the newly launched Absa Run Your City Mangaung 10-kilometer takes center stage come Sunday, the 25th of October. The popular road running series has added Mangaung, the City of Roses, to its growing calendar, which already includes Cape Town, Durban, Tshwane, Gqeberha and Johannesburg. Molotsi, who won 4 of the 5 races in the series last year, is determined to become the first athlete ever to win the Mangaung leg.
First of all, I'd like to thank all the sponsors, Puma South Africa, Absa Run City, Still Water. Yeah, I can say like all the time when I run Absa series, I always want to win, because Absa series honestly changed my background, so that's why I'm saying I want to be the first man to cross the finishing line. I can be happy.
All right, let's dive back into the pool with South Africa swimmers ending a sensational Commonwealth Games campaign, with Peter Coetzee smashing the game's record to win 100-meter backstroke gold, while Chad le Clos became the most decorated athlete in Commonwealth Games history with a record 21st medal. Team South Africa wrapping up the swimming program with 6 more medals now, and they sit 7th on the overall table with a tally of 22 medals. And Nakali says the 2026 season could still finish in Europe if the Qatar and Abu Dhabi Grand Prix are cancelled because of ongoing conflict in the Middle East. A final decision is expected by mid-September, although both races remain on the calendar for now. Imola has emerged as the leading candidate to host the season finale should changes be required. That's your sport on the national briefing. We'll leave it there for now in the Formula One pits. John Gericke will be back in the fast lane at around 12:30. I'm Zai Khan.
This week on Expresso, Mandela Day may be over, but the spirit of giving lives on.
We reflect on the impact of this year's initiatives and discover how organizations like the Homestead are inspiring South Africans to keep making a difference in their communities all year round.
We also get moving with Claudia as she shares simple anti-inflammatory workouts to boost circulation, support your lymphatic system, and keep you active through winter.
And we swing into action with Spider-Man, brand new day.
Join us on Expresso weekdays from 6 to 9 on S3.
Call SAFM now on 086 000 2032.
A few minutes before we wrap up the national briefing for this morning, one conversation we are yet to have will be in conversation with Dr. Sahir Parker, where our focus will be about why science engagement is no longer a nice to have, but a national imperative. That conversation before we get to 9 o'clock. But for now, though, we prioritize your calls. There was a conversation that we had with Dumsan Makakula from SAMU, and Mpho in Mangaung, you want to speak to that discussion. Good morning, Mpho.
Good morning, Koketso. Koketso, I think SAMU must look at themselves. They are part and parcel of what is happening in the municipality. You know, here in Bloemfontein, you know, tomorrow is month's end. You go in town and you will never see a municipality worker doing anything, but you either see them because there are a lot of taverns in the town. You find them in the taverns, you find them in the shops, but you wonder, when do these people work? And when do they claim for overtime? What is it for? Because the town is dirty and the townships are dirty, but these people, they claim overtime every month. What is it for? You know, SAMU is a problem. They must accept it. They are a problem. They're part and part of the problem of the municipalities collapsing like this. I thank you, Koketso.
Just a quick one before you go, Mpho. Are we able to have these two realities live side by side? On the one hand, what you mentioned around the whether we call it laziness, incompetence, or questions around workers and whether or not they do their work, and at the same time having the challenges within municipalities that make their work difficult at the same time.
You know, Koketso, one thing that will make their work also very difficult is because they don't perform to the extent that the municipality achieves the objective of service delivery. And then once that happens, people hold back and say, okay, because municipality is not servicing us, why should we pay for services? You know, their performance is so bad that it is actually reflective. And also the municipality officials as well, I think because SAMU is part and parcel of the alliance, because the municipality people who are being voted in are voted mostly, SAMU members are voting the people who are in power now. So now they are protecting their voters as well at the same time. At the same time, you know, they let these people do as they please because they don't want to offend them. You see, okay. And you know the other one, before I go, there's a municipality, Machabe. One day, the mayor they was talking to Tuso Mutang on the radio. They bought brand new trucks. That municipality, the mayor said, within 6 months, half of those trucks were not working because they were broken. Because these guys, they don't want these trucks to work or to function because they want to claim overtime. The lesser the trucks they have, the more overtime they're going to claim because they're not going to be able to cover long areas, big areas within the stipulated time.
Let's leave it there, Mpho in Mangaung. There's a lot to be said around some workers and how they, jipper the system and maximize on overtime and also make sure that they do not work. And at the same time, there are the challenges within municipalities that impede at least the good ones from doing their work properly. 086 0002032. Let's go to Sunduzi in Peter Marisburg. Steve, good morning.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Steve.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I will also want to weigh in on that guy, Makakula. They come and become a smooth talker here. What we've seen with the municipality workers, it's a disaster. Because most of the time you'll find them in the tavern, as the previous caller said. And then we don't know the system of them, how they work, like where they clock in and clock out. Because they do as they please. They do as they please. The only time you notice them is when they have strikes. Then you'll see how much of them. But during working hours, no, you'll hardly see them. And then you'll hardly see them doing their job. That's a worry about them.
Steve, thank you very much for your call. As a municipal worker, give us a call. What do you make of this view that residents hold of you being lazy, you not caring? 086 0002032. Let's go to Kuruman. Zonge, you also want to speak to this matter. Good morning.
Yes, how are you?
All right, Zonge.
Good. We are speaking to Zonke Lonagin, Kaso Onyana, in Promising, the poor municipality in Northern Cape.
Hey.
You see the trade union called it SAMU. SAMU is the alliance with the COSATU, and then COSATU is in alliance with the ANC. So they must not come to the radio and complain about this and that. And even here in Kuruman, if you can walk to the parks, you find those people are sleeping there, do absolutely nothing. The potholes in town, this town is fraud, Kuruman is fraud, Koketo. So I don't know why some should complain. We as the community, we are the ones supposed to complain, not some. It's us who have to complain because you see the service delivery is collapsed in township, in areas like your Bankara, your Promised Land. There's nothing here. Thank you.
Thank you, Zonke. Municipal workers, defend yourselves. Defend yourselves. Lala and Polokwane, Raloj.
Good morning, the issue with some, I think they are somehow, I can say they are hypocrites, because what they are doing now, they come here, they tell us what is happening with the management. But I have never heard even a single day when SAMU defended the management when the employees are not doing the right thing, or encourage the management to take action against the employees who are not doing the correct thing. When the managers in the municipalities are trying to take actions, or the supervisors, the foremen, are trying to take actions against the employees who are involved in illegal things, selling the scraps that are belonging to the municipality, or not even doing their work, like as many have already said. They are always sleeping in the bank. When the managers are trying to do that, they are threatening those managers that will be removed from the office. So SAMU is just lying to us. They have a lot to do with their employees. They must first go and try to do the work correctly and in terms of the first. Thank you very much.
All right, Lala in Polokwane there. Municipal workers, defend yourselves.
Good morning, Kakaso and SAFM listeners. You know, SAMU Secretary Makagula, I think he's misleading us as the listeners. The SAMU workers, not the municipality workers, are the ones who are making the municipalities to fail. Those guys, they don't work. You find them sleeping in parks. Some are going to bars and drinking. Then come the weekend, they're rushing for overtime, and then you ask yourself, what overtime? What is it for? Because during the week they were doing nothing. They are doing nothing. They don't deserve any salary. What they are earning too much. It should be decreased instead of increased. They don't deserve anything, the SAMU workers. They are the worst workers you can find in the country.
Good morning, Kogetso. The guy who just sent you a voice note is correct. There's no service delivery in South Africa, especially storages. All the storages, the dams, there's smelling storage everywhere. accept those dams that are in the village because they have pit toilet. They could have just told us everyone that we must have a pit toilet to avoid this sewage that is leaking everywhere. Tatoram Bobo from Mangai. Thank you.
Thank you for those voice notes. Here's a question. Of all the issues that exist within the municipalities, which of them are, or can we blame SAMU or municipal workers, and which of them rests at the door of management? Johan in Nelspruit. Good morning, Johan.
Good morning. How are you?
All right. What's happening in your part of the world?
In my part of the world, it is also service delivery. And I think what we are looking at here is a management problem as well as a workers' problem, because the workers are not held accountable. They pitch up in the morning, arrive at work, and then at 10 o'clock, nothing, nobody is seen working. And then come weekends, everybody is working frantically all over the areas to claim overtime. So it's a management problem as much as it is a workers' problem. And there is a lot of workers that is really doing their part, but because of pressure from the other people, no, we can't go to work. We must not finish. We're going to go home now. Those people that is doing or want to do their work is in the majority or the minority. I'm sorry. So, it is a accountability issue, because management should hold the departments and the managers accountable, but they are not doing it, and it's a growing problem, and it's out of control.
Johan in Nelspruit. So if the issue rests with management as well as municipal workers, then what are you as a resident going to do about it? Mr. T in the Free State, good morning. Mr. T?
Good morning, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, good morning, how are you?
All right, B.A. Barakas.
A quick one. The issue of SAMU, it goes together with the management in the municipality. We've been told there are no capacity in the municipality, and that reflects back also to the issue of workers. The reason is only one, according to me. Budgets are being made each and every year. Budgets are diverted for things that we cannot see as the community. At the end, workers also suffer the same situation of not having tools, because nobody is telling them this is the money you can do 1, 2, 3 days to give us services. So it starts from the top. I want to make 2 examples. We struggled with water in Free State, Kwagwa area. Instead of our municipality and government assisting us on that, we saw fence being erected on the old industrial areas. Fence. Where there was a fence, because they were washing money just to make more profit for themselves.
Wait, Mr. T.
Okay.
They were erecting a fence where there is already a fence.
A fence, yes. They put some security cameras there. Those things, they never work.
Okay.
They never. You can go to Techaba, look at it in your area. You'll see what I'm talking about. Last year, we had terrible roads in the previous 3 years. In the villages, the roads are not there. The municipality decided to do a pavement, walkway pavement for pedestrians. Tippers were there, tipping the concrete, the gravel, because it's the tender. And those people, they were making that pavement there. It's a big pavement, long pavement. We said we just want a truck here as the community. We can put the gravel down for our road, for our cars to go, for ambulance and everybody, taxis that are passing there. There's no single area, as I'm telling you now, where that has been done. But the money has been washed again on the walkway pavement for pedestrians, where there was no issues. Thank you.
Mr. T in the Free State. Workers, defend yourself. Here's somewhat of a defense or maybe an explanation, a message via the WhatsApp line. The workers are oppressed under the employer who targets shop stewards who often lose their jobs. Workers are now being trashed while it's the elite who create an environment that is bad for public and for workers. SAMU operates as an oppressed force to any kind of politics in the workplace. One explanation at least, but the cries of citizens continue. Let's go back to the Free State. Zola, good morning.
Good morning, KK.
Yes,
good morning to the listeners. KK, it's not all some officials who would not tell their members about discipline. I have worked with Mr. Makakula. I was a representing employer, and when I had a problem with one of my members, I would sometimes call him, Mr. Makakula, speak to these people, otherwise action will be taken. And Mr. Makakula will come and speak to them and tell them straight that if you don't do your job or you come to work under influence of alcohol, we will not defend you. Even Mr. Ngwenya, who is now somewhere else. But yes, there are those who are reluctant to call their members to order. But there are those who speak to the employees. And once you speak to the employees, they'll be complaining that, no, we don't like him. He's going to sell us out. There's a problem. Thank you.
Zola in Bloemfontein. Let's wrap with Mateba in Pretoria on a different matter. You want to talk immigration? Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
All right.
No, man, I was listening to immigration in the morning when he was defending there's a female lawyer who is representing the lady from Nigeria.
Yes.
When he was saying there's no conflict of interest about that lady who is on the advisory board of Home Affairs. So I wanted to differ with him that there's a conflict of interest there. You can't be my advisor, then you prosecute against me. Like, it's a conflict of interest on its own.
Well, here's another way to look at it. I mean, she was, at least to go back to what Craig Smith said, she's a known attorney when it comes to matters of immigration, and she was still accepted into that advisory board. Does it not go without saying that there should have been an expectation that as an attorney in that field, at some point she would be litigating against the department?
No, let me just say it in this way. As a legal practitioner, in the matter that you see that you are conflicted, you must just stay on out of the way. Someone will do that work so that you must not be conflicted. That's a conflict of interest. Because at the end of the day, you are the one who's advising the Home Affairs, the department that you are going to work against. That's the issue that I'm having with.
Okay. Got it, Matebe. In Pretoria, his comment centering around the ongoing saga and matter of Chidima Adesina in the courts in Cape Town, where she's fighting her citizenship being revoked and also fighting her needing to go back to Nigeria. Her legal representative happens to be on the Immigration Advisory Board for the Department of Home Affairs, and that matter has come up in the Portfolio Committee of Home Affairs, where they are citing what Matebe agrees to be a conflict of interest. It is 7 minutes to 9.
SAfm, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Good news on that R21. The crash scene cleared at Pomona. If you're on your way down towards the airport, coming out of Pretoria, you may have heard about that a bit earlier. It's all lanes open and normal, easy traffic flow there. The Bike 1 slow boy sends through to Empire Road in the Parktown area and then through Melrose up towards Sandton, fairly busy. N1 South has a crash scene just around the New Road exit, so coming through Midrand. That's getting a bit busy again as you line up back through Olifants and back towards the Samrand Road exit. Pretoria easing up with the exception of the Mopani Highway. That's still very heavy as you line up down towards Eskia and Pathlali Drive. Durban, the N2 heading up towards King Shaka International. A breakdown before Gateway's been there over an hour now. Very heavy getting up through the Komashu Highway towards that M41 Gateway exit. Of course, the breakdown is in the roadwork section as well. Cape Town, the N1 inbound from Plattekloof to the city centre, still looking fairly busy. Klipfontein Road out of Athlone through Mowbray towards Lisbeck Parkway. Slow. A lot of traffic around Rondebosch this morning. Campground Road southbound. Belmont Road off to the main road. Coming in from Rondebosch East, Crombourne down to Milner, still very busy there. A lot of traffic on the M3, bottom of Weinberg Hill up to UCT and into Hospital Bed. And a fatal crash, probably take some time to clear this one up just south of Mthatha this morning. If you're doing that Kumbu Mthatha run, just watch for some delays approaching that scene, about halfway through between those two areas. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
Built in Mzansi on the National Briefing.
Built in Mzansi highlights solutions, innovations and progress stories across the country. We are tracking how everyday South Africans are making a real impact in their communities. In this segment, we're highlighting solutions, innovations and progress stories. And we're tracking how we do make that impact. Our guest is a dear friend, Dr. Sahir Parker, who works in research and development. He speaks to us about why science engagement is no longer a nice to have, but a national imperative, and also about the national system of innovation to improve public participation in science. A pleasure speaking to you this morning, Dr. Parker.
Good morning, Koketso. Lovely to chat to you again from a beautiful but chilly Cape Town.
An important conversation about why science engagement is no longer a nice to have, Sahir, an important conversation, an area of passion for you. Please do share the significance of science engagement.
You know, Koketso, South Africa is a beautiful country. It's a country of tremendous wealth, but also one of tremendous inequality. And when the bottom 50% of our population holds a microscopically small share of that wealth, science can become concentrated in wealthy urban areas. And this does create a space where it becomes an exclusive privilege. And so for public understanding of science to become truly meaningful, we must engage in a way that elicits the public interest in an equitable and accessible manner, so that we can overcome these challenges, particularly related to inequality.
We are, of course, close to National Science Month, and the question of the national system of innovation to improve public participation in science, how do we make that happen, Sahir? How do we bring science closer to the average South African?
You know, Koketso, science engagement must become bidirectional. It's the only way we can demystify the sciences to, in reality, take it from the labs to the kitchen tables to the street corners. We need to recognize that we have brilliant scientific breakthroughs and scientific community, but without the interest and engagement of the public, science will remain trapped in these ivory towers. And so to do that, we must bring science to the people, bring it into everyday conversation, make it multilingual, engage in our cultural spaces, so we can ensure that we build a society that is both scientifically aware and critically engaged with the sciences. Only then can we really benefit from all of these tremendous opportunities that have been developed in our national system of innovation over the last 30 or so years.
On a practical level, is that happening, Sahir?
It is difficult. It is difficult. We have these tremendous barriers. Structural inequality creates a tremendous challenge for us. We have significantly advanced our national system of innovation over the last few years in particular. But to connect these paths of the human capital together with the infrastructure that is required for an excellent science system takes time. We haven't made significant progress. We are heading in that direction. But to answer your question, at the present moment, we are still not there. Those roads are set to converge, and we hope and we do pray that we will see that sooner rather than later.
We hope so too. Sahir, we are out of time. Thank you very much for your time this morning, Dr. Sahir Parker, Senior Research Specialist in the Center for Science in Society of the Equitable Education and Economies Unit at the Human Sciences Research Council. That is where we wrap the national briefing for this morning. It's all moved so quickly. Thank you very much to the team as well, to Stanza, to Kanya, Lebo, gift, really appreciated. And also just to acknowledge the brothers that man the cameras and make sure that we're able to stream live as well. Most appreciated to you as well. I return later on this evening at 8 p.m. on the meeting point. Overtime we are working, it seems. And also a reminder that we've got the National Discourse with Joanne on the other side of 9. But for now, though, it is time for the latest news. 9 o'clock. Good morning.
In our top stories, Johnson defends IDAC's decision not to investigate Maumela and deadly strikes on Ukrainian cities. Good morning. The former head of IDAC, Advocate Andrea Johnson, has told the Matlanga Commission that investigations into alleged Tembisa Hospital looting kingpin, Hangwani Maumela, does not fall within the unit's mandate. Advocate Johnson was responding to questions about why IDAC appeared to be pursuing attempted murder accused Fuzimuzi Matlala while not investigating Maumela. She told the Commission that the Tembisa Hospital investigation, including all implicated individuals and entities, falls within the mandate of the Hawks.
The Tembisa Hospital matter, in all of its forms, in however many legs of investigation it has, whomever the persons and entities of interest are, had been referred around about 2020 or thereabouts by the SIU to the DPCI. The DPCI has always been vested with this matter. The Tembisa Hospital, whether it's Skinny Jeans, whoever they are, who's behind the scenes, whether Maumela is involved or not, etc. All of it lies within the ambit of the DPCI.
The Cape Town Regional Court has sentenced a 31-year-old man to life imprisonment for an attack on police officers in Kensington. The court found Tuhir Adams guilty on 2 counts of attempted murder. He was also handed 5 years for the illegal possession of a firearm and 2 years for the illegal possession of ammunition. Police spokesperson Wesley Twigg says SAPS management welcomes the sentence handed down.
The sentence followed after Tuhir was found guilty for attacking members of Kensington SAPS while they were conducting stop-and-search operations in the Kensington Policing Precinct on 22nd April 2024. The members were shot at by an unknown person and a police constable sustained serious injuries. During the investigation by Serious Violent Crime Unit detectives and collecting of evidence and video footage, the accused was identified and arrested.
Limpopo Likompo musician Lihlohonolo Chauke, better known as Shebe Mabena, is expected to return to the High Court in Polokwane today for a second bail application based on new evidence. Chauke has been in custody since November last year and faces several charges including attempted murder and assault. His previous bail bids were unsuccessful in both the lower courts and the High Court. He will be represented by Advocate Lawrence Hodes. Rendani Ralipaswa reports.
Shebe Mabena's lawyer, Michael Kumalo, had applied for the court to give Advocate Hodes sufficient time to study the case documents before the appeal can proceed. Shebe Mabena is facing a total of 21 charges. The state has, however, withdrawn a charge of illegal possession of firearm. The charges include attempted murder, assault, culpable homicide, and reckless and negligent driving.
Family, friends and members of the sports fraternity are expected together at the Kumcha Community Hall in the Eastern Cape for the memorial service of former SA Under-18 rugby player Lukobo Makwedini. The 20-year-old died in France earlier this month after collapsing following a training session with his club. Tributes have continued to pour in from teammates, coaches and supporters who remembered him for his passion, dedication and potential on the rugby field. Cities across Ukraine have come under Russian attack hours after President Volodymyr Zelensky warned that Moscow would be targeting his people. One person has been killed in the capital, Kyiv. 4 more people are reported to have died. The BBC's Ali McConnell has the details.
Explosions were heard in Kyiv shortly before midnight local time. The mayor, Vitaly Klitschko, said Russia was hitting the capital with ballistic missiles. Ukraine's Air Force said the central cities of Dnipro and Kryvyi Rih, as well as Vinnytsia further west, were also being targeted by Russian ballistic missiles. President Zelensky has only just returned from Washington, where he lobbied for licenses to produce interceptor missiles for the Patriot air defense system, which Ukraine desperately needs.
Recapping the top story, the former head of IDAC, Advocate Andrea Johnson, has told the Matlanga Commission that investigations into alleged Tembisa Hospital looting kingpin, Angwani Maumela, does not fall within the unit's mandate. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
The pain of losing a loved one is never easy. At Clientele, we understand that burying loved ones with dignity truly matters. Our funeral plans pay out cash within just 24 hours and you receive 200 Rand airtime when you claim. Plus, we cover up to 13 people on one plan. SMS SAFM to 48031. That's 48031. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Head to Dis-Chem for your best winter buys. Look out for the yellow label to enjoy bulk savings on Better Rewards brands. Swipe your Better Rewards card and save 84 Rand on 2 Sanic 750ml shower gels, now just 139 Rand 50. Plus save more when you buy 2 bottles of Savlon 750ml antiseptic liquid, now only 149 Rand 98. Save 70 Rand. Valid until 9 August at Dis-Chem. Better health starts here.
Drivers, this winter, South Africa's roads can change in seconds. One moment it's clear, next, dense fog blinds your view. Don't drive on memory, drive on visibility. If you can't see clearly beyond 50 meters, pull over safely at the nearest truck stop. Stay alert, stay alive, check your surroundings and inform others. See and be seen. Let's navigate winter roads together. This message is brought to you by the National Department of Transport.
The Daily Discourse on SAFM with Joanne Joseph, unpacking the issues that matter. The Daily Discourse on SAFM, weekday mornings from 9 to 12.
Good morning and welcome to the Daily Discourse. Great to be with you on this Thursday edition of the program. I'm Joanne Joseph. The team is with you. Melissa in studio. Kenil, we're out at an outside broadcast with me this morning. They're both producing the show and taking your calls. And of course, Patrick is on sound this morning. We do not live stream or video stream on a day like today, but you can still go to the SAFM website. You can listen to us on the radio, listen to us on DSTV channel 814, or you can go to the SABC Plus app where you can listen to us there. And remember, don't forget that if you haven't managed to catch up on the show in its entirety, our digital team loads the podcasts onto our website, so you can catch up on all our interviews on demand there. Let me just tell you exactly where we are today. We find ourselves at the Houghton Hotel in Johannesburg. It's a beautiful hotel indeed. And although we don't have a video stream coming to you, Tuli, our marketing person who is with us and is going to do some publicity for us today, is going to give you an idea of what our surroundings look like. It is a beautiful hotel. It is a lovely morning in Johannesburg. Lots of light streaming into the area where we are doing our live broadcast from. And let me tell you why we are here. Brand South Africa is about to launch a couple of reports this morning. State of the Brand report. That is one of the reports being launched. It's also launching a global reputation study, and the theme of that is how we see ourselves, how the world sees us. I mean, this is a critical time for us to be evaluating what we think of ourselves as South Africans, how we see ourselves as a country and as a nation, and what other people think of us, how they perceive us based on what is going on in our country. And essentially, Brand South Africa has invited us here to have a conversation with them about these reports, because they play a very important role in our country. Of course, they're mandated to build, to manage and promote our nation's brand. And it's their job to strengthen our competitiveness. They're supposed to attract investment to our country, tourism to our country. They're supposed to grow exports. And they're also supposed to do the important nation-building work of inspiring national pride and enhancing the country's global influence. So the way we present ourselves, not just to ourselves, but to the world, is rather important in making all of these demands a reality. And so these two flagship research programs that they run, the Global Reputation Study, it measures South Africa's international reputation across 17 strategic markets. It also benchmarks the country against 9 nations that compete against us, right? And it's looking at all sorts of dimensions of our brand. It looks at investment, tourism, exports, talent, including work and study, and it looks at our prominence on the world stage. And so that's one of the important aspects of why we are here today. And then the other is, as I mentioned, the State of the Nation brand report. And it's looking at 3 core indicators here. It's looking at national pride, it's looking at social cohesion, and it's looking at active citizenship. And I wonder how we are going to fare in these particular areas, because the study that is going to come out today is going to talk to how we perceive the country right now, how we perceive the institutions in our country, and how we perceive our country's future, right? We're also going to be linking this to a new business angle that we will bring you a little bit later on. But I think it's really important to think about these things and how, if things are not quite the way they should be, and if they're not running at the standard that they should be within our country, we face the reality that it has implications for how the rest of the world sees us, and that impacts things like foreign direct investment. And so we're going to be having a conversation with Brand SA over the course of the morning, and we're going to be putting these questions to them about, what their surveys tell us about ordinary South Africans, what their stance is on the various issues that plague us as a country, and how we see ourselves overcoming those, as well as our strengths, and whether we have the ability to essentially lift ourselves above the daily difficulties that we have come to experience in South Africa. Right, so let me just remind you, we always start the program with an open line. It's no different when we're on an outside broadcast. Our studio line number 086 000 2032, our WhatsApp line 0614 104 107. Make sure those messages you send through are short, sharp, and audible. Let me tell you what else is coming up on the show. So we're going to be speaking to the Brand South Africa CEO in just a moment about the reports that I've already outlined. And then in a short while, I just also want to tell you about what's happening with the impeachment committee. And this broke overnight. You may know that earlier in the week, following that court decision last week that the president has the right to halt the work of the impeachment committee, that on Monday, the African Transformation Movement that had taken the whole issue to court came out and said it was going to challenge that Western Cape High Court decision. And it wasn't going to do it in the Western Cape High Court or at the Supreme Court of Appeal. It was taking it all the way to the Constitutional Court. So essentially, what the impeachment committee itself has come out and said in the last 24 hours is that it too is going to take this matter on appeal. Now, we could not get Makashile Ghana to speak to us. He is, of course, the chair of that committee. However, he did send us a short bite to play as to how they met yesterday and what the outcome of that conversation was. Patrick, will you play that clip for us, please?
The impeachment committee held its meeting today to discuss, amongst others, the Constitutional Court judgment of the Western Cape High Court, the appointment of the evidence leaders, and also the terms of reference. We could not conclude our agenda, given the inputs that were made in terms of the minutes, but also in terms of the briefing on the High Court judgment. There were 2 major decisions that were taken today. One was that the authors of the independent panel report do not have to appear before the committee, that their work is done. The evidence leaders will take the committee through the report. That's the first decision. The second decision that was taken is that the committee will appeal the decision of the Western Cape High Court that interdicted the public hearings of the impeachment committee. So we will work with the legal team to ensure that the papers are prepared and are filed with the Constitutional Court. We have also resolved that next week we'll meet over 2 days on Wednesday and also on Friday to ensure that we get close to finalizing the evidence leader and also the terms of reference. Thank you very much.
So that was the voice, of course, of Makashile Ghana. He is the chair of the impeachment committee. Also coming up on the program a little bit later on, we're talking about the vinyl voter registration weekend that's happening. That happens this coming Saturday and Sunday. It's the beginning of August. Can you believe we're already here? And this is your last chance to go and register over a weekend. So we're going to chat about that in the next half hour. And then we'll also speak to this issue of digital technology that is rather than digital technology, data that is expiring. And this has been an ongoing problem in South Africa for a long time. People complaining they buy data, it expires. Gozela Diko, who's the chair of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Communications and Digital Technologies, is going to talk us through exactly why that should not happen, and an oversight visit that they did to the MTN headquarters in the week. And we're going to ask her to talk us through exactly what they've asked MTN and Vodacom and other mobile networks to do in terms of expiring data. All right, it is right now 15 minutes, 9:15 here on the Daily Discourse. And we're going to take a short break now. When we come back, we're going to speak to the Brand SA CEO about these two important reports that are being launched today. Stay with us.
At Specsavers, we're committed to offering affordable and professional eye care. That's why we're offering 1,500 Rand worth of savings with our winter promotion. Get a free frame up to the value of 1,500 Rand, or use the 1,500 Rand on one of our leading vision enhancements, like Climate Eyes, which automatically adapts to changing light. To qualify, simply purchase a comprehensive eye examination and prescription frame and lenses. Affordable eye care, Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
This week on Expresso, Mandela Day may be over, but the spirit of giving lives on.
We reflect on the impact of this year's initiatives and discover how organizations like the Homestead are inspiring South Africans to keep making a difference in their communities all year round.
We also get moving with Claudia as she shares simple anti-inflammatory workouts to boost circulation, support your lymphatic system, and keep you active through winter.
And we swing into action with Spider-Man, brand new day.
Join us on Expresso weekdays from 6 to 9 on S3.
Hey, we buy cars. How does it work if I want to sell my car?
We'll drive to your place. You can visit our pods. Even if you don't have space, then at the mall in a parking lot, we've got lots of depots all across the land. Contact We Buy Cars. You're in safe hands. Safe hands.
Wow, that's great.
We Buy Cars, the easiest way to sell your car by far.
The Daily Discourse on SAFM, weekday mornings from 9 to 12.
Right, 9:17 on the Daily Discourse. Thank you for joining us. If you have just tuned in, you may be wondering what the ambient sound around me can be attributed to. And that is because we are at the Hilton Hotel in Johannesburg this morning. We're here with Brand South Africa. They're about to launch a couple of their studies that they've done, the State of the Nation Brand Report and the Global Reputation Study. And we are here to get a sense of exactly the significance of these studies, what they tell us about the state of the nation, what they also tell the world about us in regard to how we see ourselves as a nation, how we're working on the difficult problems that face us and how we overcome them. But it also focuses on the strengths of the country. So the theme this year is how we see ourselves, how the world sees us. And I'm delighted to introduce Brand South Africa CEO Neville Mikey, who's here to tell us more about these reports. Good morning to you, Mr. Mikey.
Good morning, and thank you for hosting me this morning.
No, well, thank you so much for having us at this beautiful venue. It really is lovely to be here. And these two research programs sound really, really important. So let's start off with each of these. Let's talk about the first of all, the Nation Brand Report. What exactly are you trying to ascertain with that report?
Yeah, so if you recall, Brand South Africa's mandate is divided into two parts. One is focusing on marketing and promoting South Africa as a destination of choice, as a competitive destination to investors. And then the second one is to encourage visitors to come to South Africa. Anchoring that is really ensuring that we can manage the reputation of the country. So what informs us in terms of data? We have to go out and of course, do surveys and speak to our South Africans
Right.
to understand what their needs are. If we just focus on listening to the news or what is out there, the bulk of it is negative.
Yeah, it can be.
How do we pull the true South African stories together? So we do the State of the Nation brand report that actually gives us that information. So we do surveys across all 9 provinces.
Yeah.
A variety of individuals are interviewed through this process. We have a set of questions that we measure against their active citizenship activities, patriotism, key challenges, and also how the government actually responds to them.
Right.
But anchoring that is also the business community within the region.
Okay.
So we pull that information together, and then it gives us a sense of what the citizens are saying and where we need to actually drive our messaging.
Right.
And that messaging talks to our core program called Play Your Part, which is where we then encourage our South Africans to be active in their own communities, to play their part basically, where they are able to showcase activities dealing with community policing forums, for example, where they participate, and we've seen remarkable stories of those, or where they simply have mentorship programs for young people, basically getting them off the street. So those are things that a lot of South Africans do but are not really amplified. And we're able to pull those stories as a result of the perceptions that we are able to identify in all our communities.
All right. Can I ask you about your methodology when you carry out these surveys? First of all, what sample are you speaking to? How many people do you talk to?
Yeah, so we survey across within South Africa approximately 5,000 people. So my team is involved. My team is also actively involved in that. So it's not just giving it to a consultant to do for us. We are part of that process as well, and it's just to ensure that we can also feel and engage with our communities, and it's across all 9 provinces, so it's not centralized. Most surveys you'll find that they're only focusing on the major centers and not necessarily going through into all the provinces.
Yeah. And tell me, how do you survey people? What are the methods you use to speak to people?
Yeah, so we have 2 parts. Of course, we have face-to-face engagements with different communities, so different groups that are put together, academic groups, community groups, business groups within the different communities, and then we collate that into a sample, and then we then of course process it through the academic engagement with our service provider, who's able to then collate that information into a report. There's critical areas that, of course, as I've indicated, that we look for is looking at active citizenship. We're looking at key programs that they are running within the different communities, key challenges, because the feedback that we get, we've got to also transfer back into the local municipalities and, of course, into government structures. And remember, we also have our brand hexagon that informs us in terms of how we market. So we look at also the cultural aspect, Ubuntu. We look at the business part, which deals with the investment as well as dealing with the export side. And then, of course, migration issues is also included as part of that.
Yes.
So, and the impact of all those elements into the survey.
So tell me, what does the survey tell you about how South Africans are feeling in terms of national pride, social cohesion, and active citizenship?
Yeah, so the survey basically has informed us that first of all, it serves as a clear reflection on how citizens view the image of the country. It looks at governance as well as the development, also helping us to identify key strengths that require improvement within each area. What it has shown us, particularly this year, is that there's been an improvement in terms of their view. First of all, as you recall, 2 years ago, we had the Government of National Unity. Last year's survey, there was a great optimism in terms of the Government of National Unity, but it had not there was no lived experiences from the South Africans.
Yes.
Now the view is clearly indicating that in some areas the Government of National Unity is working, but there is also still that criticism that is coming out that there is delays in terms of processing of key programs within different communities, and because of so I think there was that great optimism, but of course, we're looking at that. And then the public perception over time within the survey has also shown us that some of the policies need to be improved, related to sustainable development, social cohesion, and that has created a sense that we need to divide our responses. So we've actually broken them down to some of the responses that we need to give to our local municipalities in the areas that we've served, the provinces, and let me just pause here and indicate that as a result of the provinces, our deputy minister is actually leading sessions in each province where we're able to give the provincial executive council feedback directly in terms of what their local citizens are saying.
Right.
And then the ones that are related to national government, we're able to then take them through directly into the different government departments.
All right. Talk to me about the global reputation survey, because of course this now looks at an international picture of how we are perceived.
Yeah, so the global reputation study obviously is an important one for us as an entity because it gives us the impression of how South Africa is perceived globally. And we have within the survey what is called the sweet spot.
Yeah.
The sweet spot is where there's a balance between our brand hexagon in terms of the different matrices. And one of the biggest stumbling blocks and what is coming out of the study that has always been coming through over the years is a decline in terms of the trust in government structures, unfortunately. There is a huge trust element in the business community. And then the last part, which is actually pushing us back in terms of how we are perceived globally, is safety, crime. That is our core biggest problem.
And
when
I'm
you're
sure
looking
it's
at,
been for a very long time, Mr. Monkey.
There's been an increase in terms of the perceptions around trade, around investment, which is a big positive.
Yes.
But the issue of safety is our biggest stumbling block. And unfortunately, that requires a lot of work from a country perspective.
Yeah. So tell me as well about, I mean, on a more positive note, because you've sketched very well for us what the problems clearly are that arise out of these surveys. I mean, we saw the launch of the Trevor Noah adverts as well, which I thought were a lot of fun, and beautifully shot, by the way.
Yes.
Your director of photography needs an award for those beautifully shot adverts. But I must ask you, what are the strengths of the country, and are we projecting those over and above the difficulties that we are having effectively enough to attract international visitors, grow the tourism numbers, get people into the country?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Trevor Noah advert was a big plus for the country, and I think we must credit South African tourism, the Department of Tourism, and the tourism structures that were part of that process. We're merely supporting them, so it was really driven by them. So that in itself is a positive message, because as in my preamble when we started speaking, most of us, wherever you go, all you're hearing mostly is the negative stories about the country, and we tend to also we are also a little bit too hard on ourselves as a country. The core positives about the country, I think it starts with just crossing the border. As soon as you cross the border, you hear how many people are so amazed and they still love South Africa. I'll give you another example. During the Namibia-South Africa Binational Commission, there was a business forum that was hosted, and the messaging that came across was that from Namibia they had actually anticipated about 40 or 50 businesses coming through for the business roundtable, and they had 180. Because the interest was that high. From when the Kenyan president came through also, it was about, again, over 150 companies that came from Kenya looking at opportunities in South Africa. So we look at ourselves and feel that we are, with this and that, all the negative stories that we're hearing. But as soon as you cross the border, you realize there's still a huge interest in working with South Africa. So the Global Reputation Study has actually shown us that there is still a huge interest in collaboration and working with South Africa from a business side. On the tourism side, we've seen an increase in terms of tourists coming into South Africa. The latest statistics have shown that actually the USA has overtaken the UK in terms of visitor numbers to the US, despite what we've heard in the last 2 years and all that noise. So it gets to show.
They're running to escape the US.
It's visitors. We're happy to receive them as visitors. So those are some of the areas that we're seeing. I had an engagement with the director of Emirates the other day, who's told me that there's still a huge interest in visiting South Africa. They carry 2 million passengers annually into South Africa. And he's saying ever since post-COVID, the numbers have continued increasing on an annual basis.
That's great news. Well, thank you so much for sharing this with us. And it's been wonderful to get a sense of these two reports and what they tell us about the state of the country, how our citizens are feeling about themselves, and how the world feels about us. And I wish you all the very best as you launch these two programs.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that. Neville Mikey is CEO of Brand South Africa. Right now, let's catch up with Anne Musa, who's got your latest news headlines.
Good morning. Thanks, Joanne. In the headlines, the African Unite Borders Bus Trucks Association has accused the Zimbabwean government of economic sabotage and undermining the African Continental Free Trade Area following the traffic congestion outside the Beitbridge border post in Musina. The former head of IDAC, Advocate Andrea Johnson, has told the Matlanga Commission that investigations into alleged Mbisa hospital looting kingpin, Hangwani Maumela, does not fall within the unit's mandate. And US President Donald Trump says his administration is looking at ways to set controls on artificial intelligence. I'll have details on these and other stories at 10.
The Daily Discourse, more than talk, real understanding.
All right, it is 9:31 on the Daily Discourse, and we are at the Houghton Hotel. We've just spoken to the CEO of Brand South Africa, and they are essentially very excited about the launch of these two reports. They have apparently polled 5,000 South Africans all over the country in all 9 provinces, and they've surveyed them, and they've asked them all sorts of questions. They've asked them how they feel about themselves, how they feel about the country, how they feel about active citizenship, voter apathy, all these sorts of things. The problems that are plaguing us right now, we're talking about unemployment, poverty, the migration issues. All of those issues have been brought to the fore, and then they've got some interesting feedback that they have integrated into a report, into 2 reports in fact, one dealing with the global picture and one dealing with the internal picture. And so we're going to be intermittently having these conversations about Brand South Africa and how we are presenting ourselves to each other and to the world. All right, remember it is also the final voter registration weekend, and we're going to be focusing on that in just a short while. Also the issue of expiring data. It's becoming a little bit much for South Africans, and now the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Communications has stepped in to say data should not be expiring. What is the technical reason for it? And this case has even gone to court, but we're going to speak to Giselo Diko on that in just a short while to find out what Parliament's opinion is on that. We are also going to hopefully play some of your voice notes and take some of your calls. We have been having a little bit of trouble getting through, but I'm hoping these calls are on the line now. Do we have Loid and Alberton on the line to us right now?
Yes, Ms. Joan, how are you?
Morning, Loid. I'm in a little bit of a noisy place, so let me make it a bit quieter so we can hear you.
Yes, I can hear the ambience in the background. Joanne, it will be remiss of myself not to convey the congratulatory message to Team South Africa, which represented us as a country with aplomb and tenacity during the Commonwealth Games, and that it can be intertwined with branding our country on a positive side. But this morning, Joanne, I want to talk about ethics and morality in terms of leadership role. I'm not sure if I'm with you, Joanne.
Yes, I can hear you, Loid. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, yes. Yeah, ethics and morality, they remain the core values for every profession or career, a leadership role. But Joanne, that being alluded, Myself, I self-resist the temptation of berating and imputing individuals' educational qualifications, even if such persons are entangled in a threat of whatever shape or form, like what we are witnessing now in South Africa. And back to my point, Joel, we have witnessed brilliant individuals who have stumbled and even fumbled to the wayside due to the fact that they compromised the core values, which are the ethics and the morality in themselves. Just to think of our impeached legal brains, such as your John Thorpe, your Kula Mutata, and soon to be impeached Eastern Cape Judge President Selby Beneng, amongst others. You know, Joel, my last point is this one. It is very unfortunate to see very good people or individuals like your advocate Batoyi and advocate Johnson bowing out like this. Although, on my side, it serves as a lesson to everyone not to compromise the required core values of our humanity. That is my thing for this morning, Joanne.
No, thank you. There's some beautiful thoughts that you've shared there, and it doesn't matter. I'm going to echo what you're saying here. It doesn't matter how educated you are. It doesn't matter how competent you are. You know, and let's face it. It's taken a lot of hard work for the people you were talking about to rise to the positions they eventually attained, and yet it's often in these cases an issue of ethics that prevents them from remaining in these positions or doing justice to them. Thank you very much for that call, Lowered. All right. It is 9:36 on the Daily Discourse, and this coming weekend, the 1st and 2nd of August, is your last chance to register for the local government elections on the 4th of November. And by that I mean the last weekend that you will have to do this. It's now less than 100 days away, the election, and I want to chat to the Independent Electoral Commission about what you need to know if you haven't registered yet. The IEC's Deputy CEO, Masego Shiburi, joins us now. Good morning, and thank you so much for your time on the Daily Discourse. It is the final weekend for voter registration up ahead. How important are the 1st and 2nd of August if you haven't registered yet?
Good morning, Joanne, and thank you for the opportunity. The voter registration weekend, in its form, extends convenience to voters. In other words, it brings electoral services closer to where voters live. So it is important as an equalizer of opportunity so that people, even though who do not have smartphones and data, can, with a little bit of effort, walk or take public transport to a voting stations where they live. The significance is that once you are there, you get an orientation of your voting station to know where to present on the 4th of November for purposes of voting, but you also have an opportunity to verify your details, that the details that we have locate you in a correct ward, because in municipal elections, the ward component election is very important because only persons that are resident in the ward are permitted to influence outcomes of those political contestations in that area.
Right. Take me through the groups that still need to register, Mr. Shiburi.
The focus of the registration drive is specifically on young persons because they've had disproportionately fewer opportunities to register. A person needs to bring their identity document, which can be a green barcoded ID, a smart card, and if you've mislaid any of those, Home Affairs will be open on Saturday and Sunday. You could go and obtain a temporary identification certificate, which you present then at the voting station, and you give us the details of a place, a description of where you live, or an address if you have a conventional address. We capture your details on a tablet that we use at the voting station, scan your ID document, and you will receive confirmation of your registration details. If, for whatever reason, anyone is unable to present at the voting station over the weekend, the online candidate registration system still remains available until midnight on the day that the minister responsible for local government formally announces the date of an election.
All right. We're going to take a short break now, Mr. Shiburi. Please stay with us and we'll continue our conversation when we come back.
Drivers, that smoke ahead is not just smoke. It's a wall, thick, blinding, and deadly. Never drive into felt fire smoke crossing the highway. You won't see stopped vehicles until it's too late. Pull over, turn on your hazards, wait it out. One decision can save lives, including yours. See and be seen this winter. Brought to you by the National Department of Transport.
Join us this Thursday evening on Top Billing as designer Erica Skalkfake renovates her own home. Metro FM DJs Muesli and Scoop share the secret to their new show. A Khalid-Stop artist inspires a Paris fashion house. And Michael joins Dylan Lewis on a tour of his sculpture garden. That's Top Billing this Thursday at 7, repeat Sunday at 1 on S3 and Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. on SABC 1.
Important message to all social grants beneficiaries. Did you know that SASSA verifies beneficiaries monthly? Did you receive a message to have your grant reviewed or to undergo eLife certification? Do not be scared. Just comply. For the month of August, older persons grant beneficiaries will be paid on Tuesday the 4th, disability grants on Wednesday the 5th, and children's grants on Thursday the 6th. If you do not get your grant on these dates, worry not. Do not rush to the SASSA office. Wait until Friday the 7th of August. Should you receive your grant on the 7th of August, note that your grant is under review and you need to visit your nearest SASSA office in August to conduct a review or life certification. This message is brought to you by SASSA. #SASSA Cares.
You are listening to Joanne Joseph on SAFM.
It is 9:41 on the Daily Discourse. We are continuing our conversation with the Electoral Commission's Deputy CEO, Masego Shiburi, who's talking us through this voter registration weekend that is happening on the 1st and 2nd of August. That is this upcoming weekend, and it is your last weekend where you can go in person to register at several venues. In fact, we're about to find out more about that. And essentially, that is going to give us a sense of who needs to register and by when it needs to be done. Mr. Shiburi, to continue, where exactly can people register?
We have in excess of 23,600 voting stations across all municipalities in the country. If a person wants to locate their correct voting station, they can go to our website, elections.org.za, and click on the voting station finder. They will be able to find a voting station. They could use our WhatsApp channel on 0600 8800 00 to contact us and so that we could assist them with the details of their voting station. But once you are on our website, you enter your address details. The website will help you navigate to your correct voting station. As we said, the stations will open at 8 in the morning, remain open until 1700 hours in the early evening, late afternoon, and the same process will repeat on Sunday the 2nd. And
now,
for people who need to,
yes.
Pardon, go ahead. My apologies.
No, you go ahead, please.
Okay.
Finish your thought.
Technically, we are looking for persons who have not registered as voters ever to present to register. Those who are already registered may have moved residence. I lived in Hyde Park. Now I moved to Bramley. Those type of persons need to come update their details. And anyone who is not sure if their address is available for the IEC on record and if their address is linked to a ward in which they are registered.
Do the IEC offices remain open until the 4th of November for registration on a daily basis for those who may miss this weekend for whatever reason?
Persons who, for whatever reason, miss the opportunity of the in-person voter registration at the voting station over this weekend can still do update or register as voters using our online facility, register to vote at elections.org.za, which will remain available. However, on the date that the minister officially proclaims that election, At midnight on that day, the Commission will disable all its registration platforms, be they online, at the office of the IEC, or even at voting stations, because proclamation has a number of significant consequences. One of those is that the voters' roll is sealed on that date, on the day that the minister calls an election. So a person who is yet to register and can't do it over this registration weekend, we advise them that they do it either at the office of the IEC or online before about the 6th of August, because we anticipate that shortly after the second registration weekend, the minister will make the date officially known. And on that date, at midnight from that date, it is no longer competent for us to amend details of voters on the roll or to enroll new persons who are not registered on the voters roll.
All right, a last quick question, Mr. Shiburi, and this is about elderly people who may want to cast special votes. What do they need to put in place for that ahead of the 4th of November?
Okay, thank you for that. The Commission maintains a program of special votes, which is special assistance to voters in special circumstances. For example, a person who's old and because of advanced age can't present physically at the voting station, an infirm person or a person confined to a home, those type of persons must cause an application to be made on their behalf, and if that application is approved, the teams of the IEC will visit those persons at their places of ordinary residence or confinement to assist them to vote. We will, as soon as the minister proclaims an election, issue an election timetable, and one of the key activities regulated in the timetable will be the dates and cut-off times on which persons who want to avail themselves of the opportunity to vote by special vote to do so. Persons like yourself, Joanne, are also entitled to a special vote. If you know you'll be working on the 4th, you can send an SMS to us. If you are approved, you can vote at your voting station on the Monday or Tuesday preceding voting day, so that on Wednesday you can proceed to give the country coverage related to elections.
Well, thank you. I think I'll take you up on that, Deputy CEO of the ISC, Masego Shiburi. Thank you so much for joining us and for putting us in the picture there. Don't forget, the 1st and 2nd of August, this coming weekend, is absolutely your last weekend, in fact, to go and register officially for the 4th of November elections. So make sure that you get through to your IEC office to be able to do that. We'll take a short break now, and we'll chat more when we come back.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion, because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones.
Presenter mic, testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2. Am I audible? gopola gore S for Abraham ke ele ya radio tutorial ya kgale. Ne. Ke yona e. Testing 1 2 testing 1 2 testing mic. Oh, man. Ke nna swena. Ke teng wa nkria brale. Ke shapo ne. Alright, ke kopa go jumpela ko mong mic. Mic 2 testing 1 2. Presenter mic testing 1 2. Mic 4 testing 1 2. One, still, nothing. One, nothing still. Ne ke butso mo mara ke Oh, yeah, I did that. Yeah, mara no, I'm good, Oh, don't get the sore. Ke bona go natanya. Kanta di. Nna ke itse ka gore batho ba tshwanetse ba tlo go lokisa. Kagae, that's what is utsitse. Kagae. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Rali wa kra mai kwa. Akele ke ga 1 2 1 2, nothing still, ne? 1 o ale mo lo se ve. Ro ke lo khakalanyana. Mara kumpiohala too faint. Kita mar hake. Le ke mai ke ba ke na ke cable. Na go le ana go ra gore ke tshwantse ke lo go ke o ntshe ke tsenyo mo ke tla e bona. Oh, sorry. 1 2 1 2. Oh, ke a tlhagelane. Sentle. Okay, a ke dire so. Hello, 1 2 1 2.